We have a lot of propaganda, a lot of assumptions that roll off the backs of the many and the masses, wherein this generation that we're in, the time that we're in, and like I've always said, people have a lackluster when it comes to um, life and other people's, their opinions upon other people's. And with a lot of the things being portrayed, a lot of the things that are being, oh, let me stop this thing from flashing. Okay, I'll just leave it there. A lot of the things that are being portrayed, and forgive me, my spirit is kind of low, but I have to get this out. Um, a lot of the things are being portrayed, and a lot of things really need to be realized and not just rationalized before you open your mouth to speak. A lot of people that I now understand and be able to see doing this here social media thing. Um, and it reflects a lot on life. It causes you to reflect a lot on behavioral patterns and psychological expenses of the eternal mechanisms of how people are wired to think, what they've been through, what they say. And a lot of what you hear come from the place of wanting to be correct, even if they're wrong, not fully informed, socially intact, whereas they understand that people come from all walks of life. That entails, and that's why I said I love Jasmine, um, the woman, I call her woman of God, the young lady in the Senate or whatever, and you know, um, Candace and all of them. But what I've learned about all of them, including our president, that they come with a very distinct lack when it comes to dealing with critical situations when it comes to society and human lives. And that's what happens with these elections and all that, and put people in positions and things like that. And people take things so, they take things so loosely and not look into the depths of what really transpires and what really happens. As I'm playing this, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna say what it is. If you are easily offended, you might not want to be on this podcast. If you are one that is overly emotional, or maybe you have dealt with some form of trauma within these situations right here that you see on the stream, I advise you to wait or look at another podcast that we have. Amen. Because I don't want you to be troubled. I don't want you to be upset or leave in a way. So I pray that it's received not in error, but in a way that we are being informed and we understand, because it can be emotional. Amen. And that's the thing with what we're dealing with now. It's too many emotional people, and people always talking about logic, but when they speak, they don't understand. They don't move from logic at all. They don't move from the standpoint. And then the same people who do these things, they like to be the ones who claim they're not emotional, that they don't have any ties, whatever. So they speak with a defense system and with the defense mechanism that says that they're detached. Amen. So I speak from the place of understanding of where I came from, what I had to go through, experience, wisdom, knowledge, understanding with clarity. Amen. So this ain't something that I read a book and somebody said. It's not something that the numbers and the statistics from Capitol Hill says. and this is why this law is this, and this is why this person is this way because of a philosophical or a medical standpoint of mental illness and all of those things. So we're looking at it as a spiritual point of view, and also as a um, logical point of view of what really goes on, what really happens in society. One of the things out of all these studies that I have really realized that scientifically and no otherwise, have they ever been able to determine the determining factor why people truly do what they do when they snap, what truly happens? And that's the whole thing with the law. Yes, we want justice and things, but some of y'all don't even understand that. And it's so triggering for people to hear these type of responses because one of the things that he said, and that's what got me to open up to say something because like I told y'all, I've been avoiding this thing right here. I have. And the more the case is going on, you if you go in the post, you'll see what God told me that this was about to happen with the boy D for David. He also, when I told y'all about the girl standing in there and the knife and the man and how he had came in, and I kept saying that it was like the girl wasn't supposed to be there. And now that I was able to see even when I saw it where he was living at that point, I seen that that was exactly what God was showing me because when I saw that they had posted the evidence of the garage where the pool was, um, and I try to remove myself and detach from it in a certain way because many people don't understand because you're so busy looking at the psychic stuff and all that kind of stuff. But many don't understand the weight that comes with that. I could say a lot of things if I did tell you the many of things God allowed me to do and see and what y'all call gifts, it will probably scare you into the things, the conversations that God let me hear. It's a lot of things that God let me see that is just not well for as I'm concerned. And maybe because this is coming from a person who God has been using to see into my life, other people's lives, my children's lives, or whatever. I mean, even from the standpoint of me talking to you about this, my oldest daughter, she was the more like, not in a sense of the homosexual part or whatever. No, just saying that she was more of the mannerisms. Like I had all girls, but she took up the more aggressive, just say aggressive, not the boyish like or whatever, but like the aggressive for a girl. So my battles really came through her. The other girls, they saw what she did, and they was more in fear. They were more respectful. They were more prone to look and see that this is what happened to big sister. I don't want that. So with I see that where the other three were concerned, as opposed to her, she actually do before she thinks. She do and she think after. And that was the thing that I had a gosh, trying to get that girl to understand. So she comes swing on you. She not gonna think about the whole aspects of going to jail, how it's just gonna interfere, you know what I mean, with my schooling. She wasn't thinking about, my mom being a public figure and a preacher or a pastor or anything. She no, she jumped first. And then when she got in trouble, that's when it sink in a little bit. But did it ever stop her? I said she was really risky. She really was. And to see, but it wasn't just um because I wasn't without making mistakes myself as a girl. Amen. And I share my testimony with y'all all the time to let y'all know. And it's not for um some type of seniority or something, but it's to help you understand because we just like chill pits with one another, like he said, iron sharpeneth iron. And if I've been through something and he gave us a testimony to be able to share these things with each other and with other people that we can acknowledge and attest to by witness of the fact of the things that we went through. Just like I said, it's a lot of things my mom don't share, but we don't provoke her, or I don't provoke her. There would be a lot of things that I would like to sit down and talk to her about. But I know that from the background that she came from the things that she experienced, and it was a lot of things that hurt her. And there's a lot of things that because she's not a communicator like me. For as yeah. She know how to talk. She says things. She has great wisdom and things like that. But even when I was coming up, that's one of the things I learned from her when I was raising my children. She was not overwhelming. I think some point at some places of my life she should have inserted herself more. But who am I to say that? Because God had things for me to learn. And because of my behavior, and it wasn't because of my mom, it wasn't because of my grandmother, it wasn't because of my grandfather. I had to be accountable for some of those things, even as a child. And people act like they've never been children before. They act like they've never did anything wrong. They never lied. They never stole. Even if you stole a piece of candy, you did. That's what God means by we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Being that He is sinless, He is flawless. He has never did a thing that would cause Him to be in the position that we are as the state of being fallen for as what Adam and Eve did. Now that he comes in and saves us and presents us as himself being flawless, being one that's perfect, being one that's mature, it changes the narrative. So I was sitting earlier and I was thinking about that. We're not going to go into the whole Bible thing, but he kept rehearsing it and saying it. Oh, confirmation, saying it to me again. And he kept saying, he said, that's people directing their their emotional response to you teaching what you teach. And they're trying to get you to mess up because they don't want people to believe it because they don't want to change. He said, but what they deflect to realize that it's not you. It's not even about you. It's about me, the God that I am, and what I can do. I deliver, not you. It's me, it's my word that will be performed in those people's lives. And God say, I rule in the hearts and minds of men, and I turn them whichever way I choose. So that tells me when evil is working, and he works like that. That's what God say. It's all in his hands. So there's a part that I'm here experiencing in the world. God is watching over his word to perform it. That's you and I as well, because we're living the epistle of God, the spoken word who came in the flesh. Come on, somebody. He dwells in us. He lives in us. Come on, somebody. So yet, as we move through this earth, there are certain things by evils being that happened as the fall of man, the curse being in the earth. So this what people deflect from because you fail to remember. You being human, and as far as salvation spiritually is concerned, where you having a dual existence, somehow you can't articulate that God in this perspective that He's trying to shift you to be able to walk in Him in a way that you are now one with Him. And this is why we get that He said, let Christ be what? Fully formed in you. That tells me we're not seeing Him in the full uh effective um manner, in the effective form of who he really is. And it is something because you can deem God to create a miracle in your life and to do certain things. But when it comes to salvation, you can say that he can't make you perfect. But he created you at all points. Uh, he created you in the world at all points. But this is something you can get through your brain. Think about that. Just sit with that. Just sit with that. He knew toes before you had toes. He knew who you were before you became who you are today in this world. He knew all these things and all these things being reflected in, and we trying to understand what life truly is and what is it, whatever. And people want to turn everything into a supernatural and whatever, and not be human or inhuman. But when it comes to certain things, to their emotions and all that kind of stuff. The first thing they holler, we just human. No, you ain't human. You the one you having such super this and that, and y'all can conjure things and speak spells and all that. Y'all can do all this. Just imagine if God. Just think about it. We talking about this evil right here and what works in the person. So just imagine the people that have not got caught. Just imagine these same people who talking this spiritual stuff to you, and they mind telling you about spells, telling you about all this stuff, right? But in their mind, because you can't see their thoughts, but God say I can, and I know that your mouth talking like you good, but your heart is telling me that you evil because I can see behind the mask, behind this avatar you talking about. You see what I mean? So that sets a whole nother foundation of what reality really is. It's not just about you and they sitting up there at the same time. What he say, smiling in your face all the time. They want to take your place, old backstabbers or whatever. And what people do for money, they smile in your face and all the time. And the next time they stabbing you in your back. So guess what? We do, even with spouses, with children, and all that stuff. And that's what God had to wake me up to in this season. I ain't starting no witch and no warlock or whatever. I know what I had to go through. And just like God said, upon this walk, you're going to have to lose some people. It's not even lose them. You just going to have to detach. You just going to have, because sometimes family, we see it in the walk with Jesus. So I don't see how everything got to turn into some monstrous spell work and all these things where it was deliberated and Jesus never saw nowhere talk about, oh, the witch and the warlock, somebody put spells on me and they think this about you, so that's the evil eye or whatever. You would never see him preaching that or going through all of that in his ministry. The man was beat, spitting on, whipped, bruised, and all that. You ain't see him nowhere sitting up behind the juniper tree like God told him in the Old Testament. Get up from here. What you sitting here whining and crying for? I made you soldiers. All these things that you enduring in your life. It ain't to say that you don't have things that come your way or whatever, but because you don't analyze things and y'all don't internalize things so much, and this way y'all teach y'all to internalize things, you can't get through nothing in life, no obstacles, no deaths, no nothing, because you too busy folding because you still reflecting, you still stuck in the past. When I use it to perfect you, I use it to discipline you, I use it to show you that you're more than conquerors through me. Because now that you have received salvation, now that salvation is there, now that salvation has been presented to you as a gift and it's upon you, I came to show you that you are not lost. And with me, this is the power you have because I came that you may have life and that more abundantly, that your peace may be full. So just imagine, look at that, look at that. You claim God is so terrible that why he allowed this and why that and then Jesus sitting up here, he said, my peace. What you say? Woo, shandarabahushata. My peace. Y'all better catch that. I caught that right there. My peace. Not the peace that the world gives. You still trying to achieve peace in the world and it ain't coming. Only God can do it. The only peace that you can hold on to is which was given to you by Jesus himself. He said, my peace I leave with you. So he gave you his word and instructions on how to maintain your peace. So in between of the missing pieces of life and the puzzles as we travel through this land, he gives to us just like this maze, just like when we're going through this, and you find little pieces here, little pieces there by you going through different tests and different trials and things that you may learn, that you have something to do while you're here, that you understand, that you'll be able to experience it. Because just understand what that is. If your mama and daddy, if God told you everything that you was gonna go through before you got here, if he told you every little nooks and crannies, whatever, whatever, most of y'all wouldn't want to be born either. I wouldn't probably want to be born either. We would like to everything to be peaches and roses and beautiful. and this and that. But the reality that's presented before us, that no, there's not that. So when we look at these situations and we come to the realization of what's really before us and understand that there's evils and our Savior and Creator God informed us properly that these things exist. But I will not leave you comfortless and I will not leave you powerless. So I've given you power over all the enemy, the serpents, the scorpions, and whatever. You shall stomp that devil's head. But the power that lacks within us is that we don't be effective in our living where we can subdue that same enemy that God had already told us we have power and authority over. Being lazy. Oh God. So many people don't understand that when you look at these situations with this young man, also, but we'll get to that because I have to do a broadcast on this and release this whole thing here. Um, what's the girl that I prophesied about? The little girl, the little white girl that the TV and everybody was talking about it. She was black and nobody it wouldn't be this, that, whatever. This the boy Kissimmee with a girl. Jesus, why I can't think of the girl name. Confirmation. Where Brian, yeah, Brian Laundry and Gabriel, what Gabby, thank you, babies, thank you, Gabby situation. And what you're looking at with David's situation, this is why I said God showed it to me. There's certain things about her death, even with them bringing out certain things, you're probably going to be very stunned by what you're going to hear me bring out that God showed me that transpired between them that happened. And it's not speculation. This came from God, not me. And it's oh, it's gut wrenching. It's not an easy thing to tackle, especially when you're dealing with people's conscience, when you're dealing with people uh emotional states, amen, and how they receive things. These are things that people don't want to hear. Even with my brother, my mom will tell you, they will tell you, the first thing I ask, I just want to know. Now, if you can admit to me, I'll go to bat for you. If you tell me that you're innocent. But far as me and my mom is concerned, we would not be in the mind to say, oh, well, if that person didn't do anything to that person, because see, I can't reflect on that to be able to receive that. First of all, how you know it was $8 that was left on the man if he took it and y'all wasn't there when he took it. Second of all, how do you use another criminal that done been caught in the act of something they done and you trust the fact that they know that they can get off of the hook for what they did if they blame another person. That could work good and bad. And they know that. When they put these same ones in they got shows now where they put plant um say it again, baby. You just said it. Thank you. When you when they plant informants in these places. So yet you take a perverted person, an evil person, and if you're dealing with a situation like wherein he was looking at the situation, they don't know the ins and outs and what was going on. Even if they watched them, there was things that went on with their relationship. So in the process of, who's to say she didn't call my brother and say some trick or something because where apparently she's the informant. She turns him up and she gets out. Look now. So they using her by law to do their dirty work. Uh-huh. So all of y'all think that y'all little internet investigators and that's how they solving their case and believe me they do you a lie. They use people like them who out here and they plant them because my daddy was a police. My daddy was one. He got on drugs that way. He went smoking the rocks and the cracks his darn self, and he was just as dirty. So that let me know, but I didn't realize it as a child. It was when I was older. All I seen was him being a preacher. But here that he got unalive. But before that even happened, and he was 60 some years old before he died. Before that even happened, as a young girl, somebody come run to me, go to the store, look in the Florida Sentinel because your dad is in the Florida Sentinel. And I'm sitting over here and I'm like, what? And yeah, your daddy in the hospital on life. I was like, what? The same police, that part, because he had that type of mind that he outthought them. So the only thing they thought to do was to set him up and sit him in as a decoy, an informant to jack and take these boys dope and they money. See, these are things y'all act like don't happen until some Martin Luther King or some Black Lives stuff show up or whatever. No, this stuff happen every day to people like us who rarely say anything. Or like the black man, not the one that just the one that said he couldn't breathe and the police officer held him down there like that, or whatever the case may be, because he could have changed that scenario. But because some of them, when they get, that's the thing about people, when they get in power, and it's amazing because whatever field that we work in, it make you feel, even if you work in a doctor's office, if you work, it's something about a uniform. When we put on a uniform, it makes us in the military or whatever, it makes us feel powerful. And that's why they designed it that way. You work in the courts, you work well robed as a judge, and all that kind of stuff. So when we see when people get into just like your pink person, whatever he is, orange or whatever, up there, and Lord have mercy when you throw money on top of it. And this is why so many of, even in the prisons and all that. So now you're going back on. Some of y'all ain't go back on that, but I came across it and I seen it, but I ain't posted to say this a confirmation. But it came out when I told y'all, God let me see. It seemed like the walls had fell off the prison, and it was some escapees, some inmates, or whatever. They had escaped and all this kind of stuff. And what had happened? What was that? Louisiana, was that Louisiana of Orleans, or whatever, whatever. And now they done came out with it. And I said, God was showing me that it was somebody that was in the behind the scenes, and that's because it was too easy for that to happen. But see, people, y'all skate around the thing and y'all don't really look into certain things. Y'all be so busy trying to find clues and all that. Now I just see, I'm just waiting for it to come out. But I just did because I commented up under one of the things so there's evidence of what I said. The seed was that not what her name is, Nazima, that they found or whatever. I know that it was somebody that was on this podcast because they went and they made a post themselves. And they started to say, because I said it, but I hurry up and I erased it off of I snapshotted it. So there's evidence that I was there and that what I had stated. God told me to go back. He said, snapshot it, but I want you to make sure you get the date stamp and whatever. That whatever, because these little psychics and wannabes and tarot readers and all that, they very much so come through your broadcast. So when I did and I came across the thing, I said, so I went back to what I posted and I looked down. I said, that's exactly what I said. So I gave about 2 more minutes and I listened to her. And I said, well, I'll be dog. He said, what I told you. So that's the danger in it. Because the dangerous thing is other people don't know that this is what you're doing. And when you going, and this the crazy thing. Because if you say a posting is false and you still in all what they say and they prophesied or whatever, and y'all so quick to predict all this stuff y'all call yourself be doing, predicting all this kind of stuff. Well, if that's the case, just like the woman got the president being a man and he was gonna be Kamala Harris or whatever. Wrong, 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 and wronger than wrong. That part. And the Bible say don't respect people like that who lie presumptuously prophesying, prophesying. They spoke out their own. And you have to be careful because the enemy is crafty. When you get caught, that's what happens when we become famous. That's why I don't mind doing it the way I do it. The way God had me do it, I do not mind because I saw it. I see when you get escalated to that point when you start being out here and cameras are following and money is flowing and all this kind of stuff. You tend to, I've noticed this about people, you tend to let your guard down because you think you have arrived. And whatever the enemy can get a person to do for itself, he'll get and mess with you mentally in your mind, especially if you do things like this. And he'll go to tossing stuff out in your message and stuff like that. And people start saying, well, I want to pay you for your gift. And I want to, we're going to give you a contract and all this kind of stuff. See, this is why God tests us and tries us in these things. Then he said, I test you, I tried you to know what was in your heart. Would you choose money over me? Not that you can't have money, but will you make money your God? That's all he said. Don't put nothing over him. Keep God the head of your life. That's all he said. And when you look at the responses of the instructions that God gave us, it's all within the same narrative and ramifications of understanding. This was his love for us to say that I've seen things before you. I created it. I know what's here. I know what happened with Adam and Eve. I know what happened before Adam and Eve. I know what's going to happen after that because it's a finished work. He know already ahead of you. But you can't expect enough because he's preparing you, but he's also giving you instructions to let you know there's some things that's in this world where you are that you might not be aware of, that you might not be um, prone to being able to recognize that here it is, I'm giving you instructions. So here is the thing, and I'm so sick of hearing it. We've all been children, we all been made mistakes. We all have an understanding that things can change as a blink, as a twinkling of an eye. You have people that set people up and all kind of things. And when you have situations, and through me seeing these happenings, like I said, I'm one of the people. I don't have to go and experience everything firsthand. I experience a lot by watching. He said you can learn a lot from a dummy. I learn from observing what other people do. And when you sit back and you see how that happened for them, you ought to know enough about your life. No, I ain't gonna test the water. You understand what I mean? So all it took for me as a child, one time to get in trouble, that was it. You ain't got to worry about me. See what I mean? Well, with other people, it takes 10, 11, 12, 13. You know what I mean? That's why I was getting on young lady. What you better be doing is be grateful because he could have snatched you up out of here at that moment that you see it. But because his mercy, and as a believer, when it comes to us, because of grace, because he said, what? My grace is sufficient for you in your time of need, in the time of trouble, to understand that there is temptation. And just maybe like David, looking over there at Bathsheba. Baby, I don't know what kind of body she had, what kind of party she had going on in that shower she was taking back. She took his whole little mind. Now just think about the depths of a man's mind. This man supposed to be saved. This man, David, knowing that God said, do not Kill, do not Murder. Right? What possessed him? He just have one wife, as y'all claim that y'all can't even deal with her. Y'all be want five or six. It's stupid. It's crazy. Even if I was a man, I wouldn't want that many goddamn because just dealing with one is enough. I'm just sorry. Just me as a woman dealing with myself every day. and all of them have different personalities and all. You men be asking for trouble. So you can't complain about what you go out there and get for yourself. Yeah. But nevertheless, sorry, but it is. And it's just like the older people you say you can't live with them and you can't live without them, which I think you can. Either way, but it is a headache sometimes. Just depending on who you with and how you are. But as God see us for us being his children and have the love for us to see us change direction. That's all he's asking. That's all that is. Where it comes to repentance and telling you to change your way. You have an addict, a drug addict. A drug addict very much understands environment and their atmosphere, what they're around, what they've been around. If they go through whether God delivered them off drugs or whether they go through a program, it's a very sensitive situation that many people they're happy that you went through Alcoholic Anonymous or drug, you know, rehab or whatever the case may be. But what they don't see is how fragile you are when you get back into society. Just as when you go to prison, you and even if you go to war overseas and all that kind of stuff, you come back and there's something. If you talk to somebody who's been in the military, if you talk to people who've been through these things in life, they'll tell you that there's something that they come back with. Well, there's a trigger and what you call it, PTSD. Thank you. You was there before I was. Look at there. Thank you, baby. PTSD. There's some cases that they don't even speak of. They don't even tell you about that. That's why I often tell these women, y'all want a man that's in uniform so bad, law enforcement and judges and all. You just think about doctors and all that. They look at death every day. Whether they have to be the one to pull the pepper or they witness it. And if it's traumatizing to you, even just looking at a movie, just think this is what your spouse, this is what your family member or whatever who holds these positions, these people in life that we're looking at. So you don't never know what was this even from their childhood that stem and it grew with them, that it produced something of you know what that was waiting to blow. You see what I mean? Because the whole time you just looking at a smile. Oh, that person is so nice. That person is so sweet. Oh, I just love that about them. And many people can't understand that because a man that will go out and unalive people and go home and lay down with his spouse and his children or take somebody else's children on, and we just talked about that or whatever. There's something hard for you to recollect in your mind. And as you being emotional, you just break it down, but you never reflect on what you're looking at. Look at this young man. But look at these two. Look at the faces of these two girls. You see the glow. You see the smile. But then there's a devilish side to them little girls that you don't see. Well, one was older than the other one. That top one, I forgot what her name is, but she's in the news with this boy here, and this other one down here, she with the boy David, being a 14-year-old at the time of her passing. Now, just think about this. Once you sit down, you really pay attention to this, especially what y'all talking about. If the mama and daddy should have some recompense for what happened to their daughter, and nevertheless, it was somebody's daughter and all this kind of stuff. I'm speaking because what this guy said, and some people saying the same thing, and they agree on this level of what I'm saying. And it's not about nobody not having kids because I have them and I've helped other people raise them. And I've seen them. I've even helped them come off the street and even go to college just by being that positive figure in their life that God called me to be. See what I mean? So y'all quick with a one-sided narrative to something. I would just like to believe that with these people. I wonder if you have any children at all that you speak that way. But you the ones that children go out and do these heinous things because you the one that sit up there and claim, oh, they just a victim. Oh, they just a child. Oh, they just did. And then it did. Do you realize that the youngest child has been on death row to never get out of prison now in the time that we're living in was what, about 8 years old? Are you aware of that? That went in and took their whole family life? I just came across a man that was, and he seemed like a little harmless fly. But yet he was sitting up there crying and bawling like a little, I mean, in front of me, just to open up to me and be honest with me and tell me you met me online. But and I never really yeah, I didn't even think of it like that. But I knew God was telling me it was something that he needed to tell me. It was saying that it was something that he needed to tell me. And for me to be open when he wants to have the conversation with me. But God was saying it's something about the young man. Lord have mercy. He got the same name as one of these people on here. Lord Jesus help me. But I have to be honest. Even though I did not judge him, what I said to the Lord, because people can have relapses, confirmation. But what I said to the Lord is, okay, God, now I really want to know, is this something that you would have me to be in a relationship with? And that you want to be, is it something that's going to put my life in danger, either now or down the line? So I pray that you will save me from what I can't not see. Because you see above, you see around, you see everything. So I'm asking you to lead me and guide me because he didn't position himself and he don't pose as a threat to me now, but I don't know further along. You see what I mean? So then God was able to open up to me by way of um let me know so I know then when the love it was something very minute that between us and I know what it was because of he thought first he thought I was too pretty to even like him and I had to underhandedly kind of guide him where it was into because apparently the women that he met online in the first place made him feel that he was unlovable because he was he was a big boy. Just put it that way. Sorry, he was a big boy. So one day I was talking about online, and he opened up, and that's what got him to open up. It was I was sitting. He was at work, and he used to call me like through his break and stuff like that. He was a white man. He was he had been in prison since he was, if I'm correct, I think he was 14. He unalived his father because his father abused his mother and him. He fought his dad unalived his mom. So when he got a certain age, and I did read in the write up where he was released from prison because I guess they write it in the paper when they released him back into society. Where there's this lady who took because they didn't get fair cases back in there because he's my age. They didn't get in fair cases back then. They just locked him up and threw away the key. So apparently, it's not about a black and white thing because this man was a white man. That's why I said what I said. Um, the lady, you can go look this up yourself. The lady, um, she's a white lady. She did her research, and she proposed a proposal about a law that will help young people who didn't get fair trials, that was incarcerated at teens and below and all that kind of stuff. So, adolescents and stuff like that. So here therein, the the person that I came in contact with, he let me know that he was on parole and he would be on parole for life because he was never supposed to get out of prison. He let me know as well what they wrote in the paper as to how he got out. And it was, I wasn't fickle about the situation or whatever, but he did let me know that there was certain things he had to be out so many months and this, and this. So it was steps to it. You know what I mean? So I think, especially what I do as well, he did believe in God and all of that kind of stuff. Nevertheless, it was people. I think that anything that seemed to be like a little bit overwhelming for him, probably his thoughts and what he was thinking about, he never expressed that or anything to me, but I could see a little bit beyond that or whatever. And he didn't, but it was, I think I did. I pushed him away a little bit just to see what his mind was, just to see what he was going. You know what I mean? Because it was something God showed me in a dream. So I pushed him away a little bit just to see how well, you know what I'm saying, where his mind was, would he handle a breakup or rejection or whatever. It's something, a fine line up under there, something up under there that I'm not seeing or whatever. So I was in transition as well because I had already told him that I wasn't gonna be in the States that long, that I God had already positioned me that I was going to leave or whatever. So I think I surprised him at his job for his birthday. That's the first time he was able to see my face for real after we had met online. And he was he was nervous. He was excited. He just didn't know which way to go with it. So there was certain things about him that I will not disclose, or whatever, and I can see why he had a hard time. But what, just just the sake of making it short and getting off this to go to the rest of it, there was this certain thing. So I opened up in a way to help him, and I know that God had me to cross his path for that particular reason. It helped him gain the confidence when it came to dating, that he understood that everybody's not the same. All women are not the same. To be honest, when I visit him, and he was so, because he was the manager, I think it was, he was over the whole thing where he worked at or whatever. They had got him a position to do that, and he was just so shocked that I was there and I showed up at his job for his birthday. And he opened his wallet and he said, "No, no, no, let me refund you. Let me give you it next time. Just have them call me and I'll just allow you to come in." And I was like, "No, I wouldn't do that. This is where you work at." I said, "It's not like it was a lot of money for me getting in anyway, or whatever." And I think it was about that amount because I came like really late. So it was like only like what I paid, $5, $8 or something like that to get in, or whatever the case may be. And when he opened his wallet, but God told me when he did that, he was trying to see my response. Because whoever the lady was that helped him get out of prison, they built a fund for him. So along after like me 4 months talking to him or whatever the case may be, he kind of said, and he was like, Natalie, I want children. I desire that. And he was like, um, that car you see me driving, he was like, that was provided for me when I got it. It was, he had some family like aunts and stuff like that from his mom's side or whatever, and they knew that he wasn't like evil, that happened or whatever, and they was building, a foundation for him that if one day he was able to see the light of day again outside of prison, that they would. So I seen. Well, he was driving and everything, and it was a nice car, but it wasn't like extravagant or anything like that. The job that he had, he wasn't. I don't know who all he knew there. They could have been paying him more than they would be paying the other people. But the place that he was working at was about to close in the first place. Um, and when he opened up his wallet, he had $5, y'all. Five and some lint in his wallet. I'm sorry. He had $5 and some lint in his pocket. And I could tell that he did it to see my response and to see if I would ever talk to him again. I did not change positions. I did not flinch. I did not nothing. But I did notice that, and I was like, I was like, no. I was like, no, you don't have to give me the. But I was like, now if I wasn't in the right mind, I was just like, bro, I wouldn't have did that. I would have did that. So it was but he had, cause he had a bold, shiny head, y'all. He looked like you know what the movie Festus, what that the Adams Family, Uncle Fester, or whatever. Remember how he married that lady that was trying to get rid of her for a life insurance policy? Oh my God! And when I looked at him, I said that he looked different on his profile picture, but I was scared of him when I seen him or whatever, but it was it was kind of comical in his response to me when I showed up, and especially being a cool or whatever. But I, you know, seeing how and he was so nervous, he was scared to touch me or anything. Oh, and he was trying to get me to go towards the car because he was whatever the girl was watching the thing or whatever, and I was like, I'm not gonna stay here that long. I just came to um surprise you for your birthday, and I had bought him a gift or whatever, and he was like, no, 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 stay, stay, stay. And he was like, I have to be really busy. I have a lot of work to do. But he was like, every now and then I could come back or whatever. And for the whole time, I noticed that he made sure I was all right while I was in the car and whatever the case may be and whatever. So then I was able to see him outside of work. But it was one of those things that he couldn't even really, because they tracking all of his movements. So I couldn't really establish a deeper for as physical relationship with him or whatever the case may be. So it was a lot of like red tape in there. But that just goes to show you in certain things. So I did notice that when I threw that test out to him and how he responded, and he was. But what it is when I did it, what it wasn't a good time for me to do that because when he did come through, he was starting a second job. He know that place was about to close. He was starting a second job. He had to go get some work boots, and he called me when he was in the store, and out of nowhere, he said, "I love you." Before he hung up the phone, and I was sitting there at a miss. I was like, "What?" Y'all was like, "What?" And I was like, "No." And then I thought about it again. I was like, "Oh." And I was just like, because if you see if you seen him and you knew who he was, you would have been like, what? And then it was like, yeah, it was like 4 months. I think it was like 4 months or whatever. So I was like, when my mind was to be careful with his heart, and to be careful with him, being that he's a human being, I understand the state and the environment that he came from. And I noticed that it was this thing that he did that, and y'all gonna see this gonna play along when y'all see about what happened with these young men and just how you could see whether they was monsters in the first place or there was something, because I've noticed that psychologically about people. They stop growing at whatever that the biggest trauma in their life, whatever happened while they were children. If you look at a lot of people, you'll be able to distinctly see this if you pay attention. I'm not trying to help some of y'all because y'all dating some of these folks. Y'all getting out here online and stuff like that. That's why we're seeing all these news and all this stuff that's going on. Because you so hyped and you want to date and you want to this and that. Ain't even nothing wrong with that. But this is why we're here to properly inform so we can have a safer space for us, for our children, for our family. Because you don't know that person looking at you and they waiting to get rid of you and your children, you, your whole family, or whatever. You don't know. We done seen it happen. So we learn to be more aware and more conscious. You see what I mean? Because apparently, so-called energy does not lie. So why did you fall in love with a person that hurt you? Tell me that. If energy does not lie, how did you fall for a person that hurt you? You can see everything. Your intuition. You got all this and this going on. You got thousands of gifts, and you know this, and you done read this, and you done did that. You all this. What is this stuff we talk about? Crime stuff. All this. How in the world you miss this Negro was never in love with you in the first place? How you miss that? How you miss he had five girlfriends and all that or whatever? And this whole scenario that somehow this person left you out in the cold and all this kind of stuff. These stupid pick somebody over you or whatever. You met that person online. And if you meet a person online and it's been a week and you sit up there, you don't close your online countdown or whatever, whatever. Well, for me, I would do something like that because I'm not interested in dating three and four people or whatever. If I'm gonna get to know somebody, then I'm gonna get to know somebody. And I tell people that all the time. This is why how Satan get us a lot of times. You go and you try to decide between two, three, or more people. All of those people have different personalities, and they're there for different reasons. Just like you gonna come with your makeup on, Mister or Mrs., they gonna come with theirs, and they got full game behind it. So you over here, you trying to decipher between three or more people. You see what I mean? See what I mean. So I mean, because you think that you're gonna miss something. Well, you can't date the whole world. So it's just quite natural for you to know if it's somebody that God and choose for you to be with, then you're not gonna lose out. No, because what if y'all another person that's in your inbox or whatever, whatever, well, maybe God to tell you that those three or whoever, five or whatever, yeah, I want to be a player, or whatever, player from the Himalaya and all this kind of stuff. Don't wanna be a player no more. Yeah, 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 yeah. You just crush a lot. No, crushing a lot. No, let's see that why y'all be crying. I hear playing these games, but that's when you when you love yourself and your heart. And see, that's the thing about me. Don't come playing with my heart. I can get money back, but I don't let people play with my heart, my time, or my family. You feel me? So I used to warn them even when I was younger. That's why I tell you, a 14 to 15-year old ain't as dumb as you think. Yeah, they still have a lot to learn, but you have to understand and identify the position, the background, the atmosphere that they came out of. When you look at these two down here at the bottom, and the case that the boy is going through now, tell me what in your mind that you rationalize that her parents is so innocent. He met her at 10, 11 years. No, 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 no. Don't get up here talking about, oh, she looks so innocent in that picture. Heck, I look innocent in the picture, but I got a side to me. I'm just honest about it. Well, y'all lie. I ain't get on the internet and tell the whole world, well, I'm mad because my baby daddy and I was 15 years old, and he groomed me and he whatever. I just saw him here the other day and I just told y'all the same thing. And I didn't. He didn't groom me. I made him wait. And at that time I was only 14. until I was ready. But the baby came and the sex came in the transaction because I prayed and I asked God for a child, not knowing how you get it. I thought that you have babies like Mary had Jesus. So now you see the other side of the brain of a 14-year-old. But yet, I knew how to work the game in the streets when it came to me. And why? Because my grandmother, them, I had one grandmama. Basically, you just say she had a rooming house or whatever. She had a brothel in that bad baby where they was doing certain things. We had different family members in the family. Me and my cousin peeping over the door. We had an uncle. He was raped. Ooh, he was raping his sister and giving them STDs and white auntie that we have, me and her, me and my cousin, we done got a chair and looked in the room to see why the girl was in there hollering and stuff like that, and the uncle was in there, yeah, the girl, and she came up with the family because she was apparently scared to leave him for a good little time. So you can't go in, talk about you an internet investigator and thinking you know minds of criminals and all this kind of stuff. These people still baffle how people doing certain things and they are investigators, psychic or not. If I sat up here and told y'all some of the things that I saw that God showed me about Jarvis butt and what he did to her and how things whatever, but God showed me how that little girl used her she ooh, see that confirmation. He didn't want me to get it out. This little girl right there, you see how innocent she looked down now? She was not. You can get mad all you want to. She was not. Think about at 10 years old, as a mother, ask my, what am I, I wonder if she at work. Which phone is this? Hold on. Y'all think I'm playing. Don't just hear it from me. Oh, she might be at work. Let me see. Let me text her to see if she'll call me back. I hope I dialed the right number. Yeah, she texted me good morning yesterday. Let me see if I can get hold to this one. And I don't be understanding how to call her because she always this FaceTime stuff. I don't be. Me, you on here? If you on here, text me, baby girl. I talk to y'all while they responding. Um, and even my mama in there, she tell you the same thing, and she listening to this broadcast. My daughter, I was sick. I told y'all all them years, and even so, I girded myself up and fixed myself up because I told y'all I used to bleed every day. I went through that for months and years on end. So I just literally have no strength. God would show me. When my daughter was thinking about doing the you know what, she was about around the age. That's when she started giving me problems. Because I told them they wasn't dating nobody until they graduated. And I wasn't playing. See, that's what it means to be a mama and a daddy. All this mess y'all got going around. That's the abuse of the children. That's this and this and this and this. And the first thing they do is get on the news and all that and ostracize the parents. But when these kind of things happen, the first thing I want to holler about all the parents, all the parents. So this is the same thing with this little girl. So you tell me a Negro gonna come pick up my 10-year-old 11-year-old daughter. I don't give a dang on if I speak Spanish, English, whatever. I will be in prison. I will beat you with a baseball bat, bro. What? You pull up and you say you come to pick up my 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old daughter? Oh, we ain't gonna even talk about their daddies. Oh, because they daddies wasn't nothing to play with. Whatever I did, they was gonna back me when it came to them daughters. Hey, you up, baby girl? Yeah, up, I'm laying down. Yeah, I'm sorry, I ain't mean to wake you up. Just answer me one quick question. She sleep, y'all. When y'all was kids, I told y'all weren't gonna be allowed to date till y'all was what, 18? Probably a little older than that, but yeah. You play too much. She ain't say you older than that. Yeah, we y'all had to be grown. Well, your sister got into stuff and she was about what, around 14, 15 years old, something like that. She was a little youngster. And what did I do? Did I let her bring boys and men? And okay, so she's before I could even get it out my mouth, she said, "Mm-mm." See what I mean? So did I allow y'all to come in the house and sleep around with boys and bring men all over y'all like that? Nope. They wasn't even invited. So you know, cause you doing a young breed. Do you know little girls that be out here? They faster and flipper than grown women out here, getting money out of men and being able to control men by threatening them because they underage and keeping them under the narrative to do what they want them to do because they scared they're gonna go to jail after they're molesting these little girls. Okay, you go back to sleep, baby. I just want because I want to think that I'm lame. All right, kiss Poppy for me. I will. Good night. Love you. Love you too. So we see out of more God say out of the mouth of two or three witnesses. So we understand that. And I know darn well y'all can type it in now on the internet. You'll see all these different situations with these young girls and all these things that's going on. So when you come to me or you present out here, all parents are not the same. But in this situation, in this position, it does not take a rocket science to see what was happening. And I don't give a darn about her daddy being named Jesus. And he talk about he don't speak of no English. He knew enough to be over here doing what the heck he was doing, whatever. The English know nothing. Even these folks over here across here. This one here over here be wanting to throw witchcraft and all that. But one of the neighbors said she had a 7-year-old boy around here that gave the girl a STD or something. That's like unheard of. Do you think she stopped the little boy from running around the neighborhood doing whatever the heck he's doing? But where is he getting it from? And why is it that his mama ain't put her attention to it? So you over here in America, they know how to sign up for food stamps, get checks, and be up under the radar, even if they're illegal immigrants. You hear what I mean? Them be the same ones made up of the cartels and all this kind of stuff. But you sitting up here talking about we don't know if they know how to or whatever. If they ever reported her a runaway before, then they knew. But how ironic, she gets hooked up. Think about it. She all of a sudden meets a famous boy, or meets a boy, and he becomes famous. Now the family no longer worried about her being a runaway. She disappears and she never come home again because now he done unalived her allegedly. Not even as with Desire Harris, for as what her and Jarvis understood. Even Desire Harris friends knew that she was sexing other boys as well as the same as this little girl right here. So if she was allowed to see David being older than her at 10, what in the world makes y'all think that she wasn't having sex and already had that been violated before David? But you want to talk about David groomed her. She was mental enough to know that she didn't like being home and she was going to fuck her family, and they figured out that it was going to work for them, and they was using that boy. If you listen at his music, talk about he point the blame. No, he pulled his heart out and tell you, because the boy got about 16 different personalities of which one of them you want to say he was talking to. You hear? Which one did she pressure and cause him to click? Because remember, he said what that thing is in the music. He said that him being young and due to him making dumb choices and decisions, he said that. But all y'all look over that thinking that was Celeste talking, and oh, and this and that. The boy said, because you act like you never made rational things, just like with me, thinking my cousin boyfriend was trustworthy enough to take me home, which was about 5 miles away. And yet he go get another boy, put him in the car, and take me towards a church where they was intending on raping me. And who knows what would have transpired. If it wasn't for the grace of God, I might not even be here today. So don't act like you so that you can't happen up in the situation before this or whatever. Some of y'all done dated people in the same being grown. Same stuff. You right here single baby mama, or somebody else had to come in and take care of that child. Same stuff. So this is my thing with you internet people. Y'all think and y'all act like y'all know that y'all this and that, and then y'all get all glorified. Oh, that never be. Oh, that, and even the Bible tell you that. Don't never say never. It's a lot of people that you looking at right now. They didn't start off on drugs. Heck, even my mama, all she drunk was sodas. She needs a man who becomes her baby daddy, and because he had some down the line for her, he stole my brother. Her mother and him got her hooked on drugs. And he had her so scared because he threatened her and told her, if you go and try to get this boy back from me, I'm gonna tell them, because they got their own drugs. They had secrets. Ain't nobody stupid. So he put enough fear in her, and she cried for years. But God would have it that when my brother got a certain age, he got to where they could do nothing with him because his daddy was running the street still. He was doing what he was doing. So he basically ended up, but he was almost grown, being able to come back to me and my mom. Y'all be out here hitting these drugs, smoking weed, and all this kind of stuff here. You don't know what these people lacing this stuff with. And people, the more people try to warn you, the more people talking to y'all, the more people try, the more y'all do. I don't want to say STUP. I don't want to say that word. But it's like, what does it take for you to wake up? And that's what God keeps saying. And then you cry for God to deliver you, but when He delivers you, you go back to the same thing. And maybe he's saving you, but in a way that you don't understand. You say he won't just take this away from me and homosexuality away from me right now, or whatever the case may be. Then he ain't God, or maybe he meant for me to be there. Maybe homosexuality ain't bad. No, maybe he just know because he said anytime you get delivered from something, where that spirit leads you, that when you backslide, he comes back with 7 worse demons than you were. So just think about it. This girl here and being around the family that she had, which is more than likely with her, when it came to drugs, when it came to certain things, see, y'all ain't gonna see that. I seen girls at school smoking drugs and all this kind of stuff. You see stuff on TV and the same thing as well. Some of them be on certain stuff and whatever. And they introduce other students and other children to these same things. So just think about this. They spinning the narrative that because her and David was arguing, which I'm pretty sure they done had plenty of arguments. He had her to come back and he unaligned her because she threatened to whatever and it was gonna end his career. In his song, he already tell you he was caught up and he knew eventually that was going whatever. So I don't even think that what that was. I think the fact that he felt like I sacrificed. Because remember, in one of the songs, he said, "You don't want love," and he loved that girl, as we see with many of. Y'all keep saying he a grown man, he molested, he didn't meet her as a grown man. This what y'all keep missing. You're one sided. He was not grown when he met her. He was older, but he was not grown when he met her. He was also a child. David got a mental problem. David has a problem. All y'all was swaying and singing to his song and lighting all these candles and all that, and I like them for him and pray for him. All that stuff, that boy and crazy stuff, he was glitching and twitching and all that stuff. When I first seen it, I was like, whoa. It was right there. But this is stuff that you internet people be entertained by. You laugh at, you get down, and you whatever, but you hate people like me. You hate pastors and preachers who try to tell you and that is evil. Oh, y'all the word about to have fun. Oh, da, 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 da. Oh, now all of y'all want to sit up there and then y'all mad at the people who still behind him, just like y'all was with R. Kelly, Diddy, and all of them. These rascals around here unaliving people, gang rap, all this kind of stuff. It's all through the goddamn internet. Y'all still listening to their music. You still let your children listen to it or whatever. Y'all just as much responsible as her parent is for the situation that went down because these are the things that y'all promote. If I was doing that on here, I have millions of followers. So this is setting the record straight, ain't it? Okay, just so we have an understanding. Too. It's like nobody shot me down. And told me everybody's busting me up. Go ahead, baby. Get away from your See what I mean? Friends, cousins. You know they got this thing in the government where you can get food stamps and all that. They'll help you get an apartment. If you just have a baby, then you can come out from under your grandma. A 14-year old. Hear that? A 14-year-old. That's the same reason my daughter started doing what she doing. Your mama go to church and whatever, girl. Oh, what time? All you need to do is get a baby. If you have a baby, then you can get government assistance. You can whatever. Why you ain't encouraging her to go to college? Why you not encouraging her to go get a job? Why you not go? Why the first thing you do is cause her to get indebted because a baby is that you indebted for life with that baby, not till they 18 for their whole life. Them still gonna be your children. So when we was 14 and 15, nobody explained that to us. All we see is all cute little baby and everybody come over and they bring you little baby shower gifts and oh that's so cute or whatever. But they never told me she was gonna be cutting food like that when she turned 14 and all that and she started getting hot all in the flesh and all that kind of stuff. Because these ain't the things you think is going on with a child. Now at 7 and 8 years old, we're hearing 5 years old, even in school. Well, my little niece come home and say her teacher showed her a porn video. Now she knew. I'm trying to find her, and she came to spend the night with me. And I'm looking for her. God said, look up under the bed. It's the light up under the bed. She done stole my phone. She had stole my phone, y'all. Got up under my bed. And when I snatched the phone from her, I said, baby girl, what is you doing? I don't even know nothing about the internet or how to get on the internet. How you know? And I sat her down and I talked to her. And I said, baby girl, Who showed you this, mom? I held myself because I didn't want to lead her to say, whatever. And she said, no, auntie. She said, they show us this in school. She said, my teacher said that this is what her and her husband was doing. And and I said, what? And I said, no, baby girl, you shouldn't be looking at things like this. And I said, no, if anybody does that to you, you tell the proper authority. Now, apparently, her mama never went to that or whatever. And right now, today, I think that I probably should have reported it too, because who knows what then transpired. They might be one of the teachers that slept with one of the students that done been across the TV for all I know. You see what I mean? Because that's a seed and it stems from somewhere. You see what I mean? So that's what we're looking at. My fear of having more children is this the school system that is in now. I could never explain to y'all what it felt like the day that my children graduated from school, public school. What I felt, the weight, the attachment, is some type of demonic entity that is attached to that whole school government school system thing. That is the absolute truth. And therefore, that is why we see these things that's taking shape and that is going on. But I tell you, the day baby girl walked that stage, good Lord have mercy. God lift that thing up off of me, all the pressures and all that. And then I no, the wave that came up after that when they went to college, because I didn't really put the whole emphasis in the college because I done raised them and thinking, okay, or whatever the case may be. But then I had to learn God is in control because they're his children, not my children. He gave them to me to be faithful over that which he gave me while they was here, while they're here. But to know that I raised them right and to trust that and whatever I can't see, God got hand on. You hear me? You hear me? So it's a lot as parents, as people. Take a deep breath. Oh no, I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna keep it all. Mm, it take a lot for me to get here to even talk about these. All I know is just I have to obey God, whatever it is He got me to do. But it's not easy task for me either, even having to had come, um, even to had come through a life that having to experience those things as well. When I had uncles that tried to molest me when my mama was on drugs, and that's why she gave me for my grandmother to raise me. Then her giving me to my grandmother to raise me, which was my godmother. Um, and she didn't have no kids, but she chose to raise me. And my her husband, which would be my grandfather, at a certain time, he started passing me cigarettes. Um, he would take me to like the park. I had memories as even when I was as young as I don't remember all the other stuff, but there was this one reoccurring dream that used to come back to me, and this vision where I would just be sitting up in class sometimes, where I used to be able to see like it was this certain place that was imprinted in my memory that my grandfather used to take me, and it was like how you walking with your child or something like that, and they have to go to pee real bad or whatever, like that situation. And the first time he made that move to touch me, I was already what um because he died before way before I got pregnant with my daughter. I was already in the more than not the preteen state, but just about there. Because he died just not long after that. So you see, well, I felt that the men in my life protected me and all of that, and it wasn't till me going to school and being around these other kids that I found that, oh, so that is what happened to me. That is what was going on to me. He was reading horoscopes, and that's why I hate with that psychic, that horoscope, zodiac, stupid stuff. He was one around there talk about a zodiac sign and him being a Scorpio and all that. And then let me show you something about being a Scorpio because me and him were supposed to be in the same sign or whatever the case may be. And it's about why would you be talking to 11, 12, 13-year old child, some of the sort? He was in the bathroom. He was fixing something. And I was sitting over there reading the book on the bed. He said, no, no, don't be scared. Don't be just lay down right there for a minute. He said, I'm not gonna do anything harmful to you or anything like that. Now you talk about somebody who raised me. Somebody helped raise me. So with me being kept from around other family members and other children and stuff, see, this is why I'm saying you have to look into that in a whole nother dynamic than what some of y'all is taking this to. Because the most innocent people that you think, because for all you know, her daddy could have been the one that touched her, the uncle, the brother, or even the mama. Because until I heard it in church that the woman said, God saved her, and even to the point where she couldn't even be around her children or her grandchildren. And when I heard that lady, I went home from church, beautiful singing voice. She a nurse now and everything, and it just gripped me to my core. And then another church that I had went to, and the lady said she was addicted to porn, and I was like, who? I was a grown up. I was a grown up, had children and everything. I said, who? I never heard a lady say she was addicted to. I said porn. That was to me. It was like unheard of. Yeah, y'all on here saying, "Girl, where you been?" See what I mean? So her giving her testimony, it blew my mind. I was like, here I am, like 20, 30 something. Porn what? I don't know what that what is that? What do a lady need that? That's what was going through my mind. And the other lady with the kids and stuff, and she said, and she admitted, she said, yes, I did. I've been in prison before. I did prison time. I touched she did something to one some children. So I don't know. Like whatever. I mean, ooh, Jesus. Oh my God. Oh, can I get off of this, please? This is why I don't want to talk about it. Oh, that it saves somebody, God. Get me straight. Oh, God. She said that is what happened. And she couldn't be around to see, like, she couldn't keep her grandkids and her children. She couldn't have children around her. And it took her some time. When the children got older, that's when they came back around their mama. Jesus. I don't know if it's me or if it's somebody on here crying. It's not, but it's so emotional. And to know that before my dad passed, when I was pregnant with my second oldest, I had to stay with them for a couple of months. That's the first time I ever witnessed my daddy cry. The first time in my life I ever witnessed my dad cry. When I told him, "You're not my real daddy." Anyway, you think I don't know? My mama told me and my grandmama told me. But and I was angry because of what he did to me. He lied on me to the lady that he was with because he was on drugs and he stole money from her. And he got mad at me because I wouldn't lie for him. I'm your daddy. You should have been able to, but you, my daddy, told me not to lie. My mama told me not to lie. So you put me in a position and you taught me not to lie. But you expected me to lie for you because you're my daddy. You feel me? So you think about when you do that to your kids, how you teach them not to do and whatever. This is the same thing with being in the church or whatever. God said, how you gonna teach the word? This and that, but you still do it. So that was the first hurt experience that I had with my dad as becoming an adult because any other thing I felt I saw him protect me from or whatever. But it came to me, and when I went on a little bit further to say, I said, "You came around and you gave me expensive perfume, but you was never." Woo, woo. I don't want to do that, Lord. Please don't do that. I almost broke down crying. Yes, but when I told him, "You did all that, but where were you with my uncles and my granddaddy were molesting me? Who was there?" And when I told my grandmother, I seen the tears well up in her eyes, and she said, "I knew it." She said, "I knew it. My granddaddy repented to me on his deathbed as a child. It wasn't until after he had got saved." And I held his hand on his deathbed and I said, "Papa, I forgive you." The preacher was there. My grandma was there. They told us that we needed to be there because he was going to take his last breath because he was having seizures till he passed away. They didn't want me to see it, and I raised hand until I got them to take me to the hospital because I wasn't going to let my granddaddy die without me being able to look in his face. He squeezed my hand. He couldn't say nothing. He squeezed my hand, and his whole countenance changed. His whole skin lit up. When I said, "Papa, I forgive you." After that, my grandma got mad with my mom, and after that, my grandma got mad at my mom, and she disrespected my mom in her absence, but in front of me, in front of the neighbors and my well, our kinfolk or whatever. And she said that mom, she accused my mom of her husband, the one that had just passed away or whatever. And I said, "Well, if you're gonna accuse my mom, then you might as well hate me and accuse me too, because he molested me for years while you slept on the couch. He was passing me cigarettes," and it caught her off guard. And then, because at that point he was already dead, you see. But I knew that she didn't know, because if she did, that's the type of woman, that's the type of person she was. She wasn't gonna do like other folks that didn't, but yeah, she would have buried him before. I'm telling you, she would have, yeah, but she didn't know. And at one point, being a young girl, I had to figure all this out by myself. My mom didn't know. I didn't talk to nobody about it. I was the quietest little girl you ever want to know. But it was the conversations with other children. I told you they used to be drawn to me. They would tell me stuff. They would talk to me. And then I started putting the pieces together and I said, oh my God, not knowing that I was violated. He didn't penetrate me with his phallic part, but it was things that he did with his hand. He didn't violate me to that he knew that if I went and got a checkup, that people would know. And that's what you have to understand. The minds of these dirty, now that's what you call grooming. It does not make it right for a man. But then this stuff go all the way back, slavery and all of that. Well, and even they got married at 12 and 11 years old back then. Now we're looking at a whole breed in a modern day society who now deem it as being unlawful and unright for them for to do it. But these are practices and these are things they've been doing. Go look it up. What this thing at? I'm gonna do this. The Egyptian girl that was discovered being 8 years old, she was pregnant. Yep. So I want y'all to see this for this. I ain't crazy. I ain't talk to y'all no crazy stuff. I don't care nothing about no AI, child. Just give me the information I want. Okay, she wasn't eight. There's no record of an 8-year-old Egyptian girl being discovered pregnant. The well-known case of a pregnant Egyptian mummy. There it is. Mummy found. It's just the way I worded it. They so stupid. Um, no case of a pregnant Egyptian mummy found in 2021 was actually a woman estimated to be between 20 and 30 years old. So see, here's this scientific stuff and the matter of information in the ages that they put here. Now, we just see this was a teenager. They came along and now they discovered that she was older. See what I mean? Between 20 and 30 years old. So then we get different information the more science advances. Then I tell you everything that you know and everything that you understand. So just imagine how long it was that I heard that. And they said that she was 8. Now it's how many years later that it doesn't advance. And right here it says, see, at her time of death, at her time of death. However, this mysterious lady mummy was initially mistaken for a male. There go another mistake, a male priest, and she was a female. So look how many long later identified. See? Oh, there go the thing. I can show you. All right, there you go. Y'all know I don't lie. There you go. You can see it yourself. And it says that they discovered they mistaken her for a male priest, and later they identified as a pregnant female before researchers questioned if the findings were an illusion. See what I mean? So just so we able to identify and understand what is happening, what is going on. Amen. Real life. They put this on the internet that you see uh and able to understand. When I was in school, I went to an adult school because I had my baby as a teenager. I went to there we go. All right, let me change this earpiece and stuff. I went to maternity school so I could finish school, but I had the opportunity to take my baby with me And they take you out of if where they start making mandatory that they take you out of um, population with other children and stuff because they get into fights and different things may happen or whatever, and the schools didn't want to be responsible for girls that was teenage pregnant and with teenage pregnancies and stuff like that. So they had a school called McFarland, and it was a school for pregnant girls, confirmation teenagers. The youngest girl that was there was 11 years old. She was impregnated by her mother's. Um, he was her husband or her boyfriend. She gave the girl away to HRS, and she chose the man over her daughter. So she ended up having her baby at 11 years old. So y'all trying to discover the minds of parents and what really be happening. And some of y'all done missed the whole mark. What you think you see, what you think you know, because it seemed innocent. It seemed that's not innocent to watch or to know that your child, especially if you're gonna tell me that they was legal here in America, that they could call the popos and go put in a missing person, a runaway report or whatever, because legally they still on the hook for that child. So that would be pure ignorance. So baby, I don't know about y'all, but I see something terribly wrong with that. And then you try to deny that you took any monies, which he paid money to her friends to give her a phone. And look, at over $1,000, they found somebody. Listen, let me tell y'all something. This is not saying that this boy, because I see he possessed with a lot of things. Mm. But you look at it from the perspective that this little girl, and I'm gonna say, plus at least one of her parents, because of the way they allowed it to operate, it tells you, and this is something that we see every day. Whether he paid bills for them, whatever transactions that took place, and it had to be in order for them to shut their mouth and allow her to stay with an older man. And she was only 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. We just had a situation in the family where the girl around about that age. First of all, she called the police and had the police to think that her mama was in danger and a threat to her. Then she did what I said to my daddy. She said to this one, and he wasn't really her daddy, but he'd been standing in her life as a daddy. People gave her to him. She got hot in her behind because he told her. So she got smart with him, and she bowled up at him like she was finna put hands on him. So I guess he let her know, bow down. No, baby, you ain't. We ain't finna do this. So because they wouldn't let her leave the house to go with a nigga, what she did, runs out the house and leave her shoes, all that thing, and waving. She was in the street, waving down cars. The boy ain't did nothing to her, but tried to tell her as a father it was not safe for her to do what she was thinking about doing. And she was not going to disrespect him. So, see, she used that same link through them calling the police and HRS to get her way. This boy was already in a situation. He didn't need that, but he took a risk on trying to make sure she was safe and not in the street. And that's what she turned around and did. So she hotel hit the street and went. She flagged some people down and said, "Call the police. He trying to kill me." What you say? What you say? So she had the boy that's supposed to be her daddy scared. He done risked himself to show her that somebody love her, and because she wired that way as a teenager, and so guess what? She still end up back to her mama. Same one who stabbed him in the hand, got him 7 years in prison because he told her to let his shirt go. He was trying to get away from her, and she was still being violent towards him. He was trying to come back the other way. People sat there and witnessed it, but the police came and arrested him. And because the judge told him if he came back, he was going to get the 5 years. She was there because she was the one that got him in trouble. She used that being in a relationship with him. And when he was saying, he said, well, so he started messing with somebody else. She wants to come and she so buddy with his mama. So then he tried to factor in the situation or whatever because she in the mama's house. But that girl know that boy wasn't ready to set it down or whatever. So every time she didn't get her way, that's exactly what she did. She cornered him, grabbed him in his chest, by his shirt, and all that kind of stuff while she was pregnant and all that kind of stuff. Call her mama, them say all kind of stuff. Lies had her family members. Some guys want to come and jump him and all that kind of stuff. Police show up out the door. First thing they want to do is arrest him, believing her. Well, she the one is the one keeping the stuff going. So to avoid being violent with her, he gets away from her. She called him, baby, I'm sorry, all this kind of stuff, whatever. And quite naturally, too, he had nowhere else to go. He had to stay at his mama's house too. That was his baby she was carrying at the same time. So many of y'all think that y'all can somehow get in those situations when it's very weird, real. So because he got charges, he has charges or whatever, they not they don't do that. Y'all be swaying unless you have an officer. Now let's go back to the case of me as a child. 14-year-old pregnant with a child. They found out that the man was 27 and he was married in the military till I was 4.5 months pregnant. My grandmother had knowledge of what was going on in that situation. As a matter of fact, she planted the seed. And she was also giving him drugs behind the scene and funding him because she was trying to get back at my mother. That part. And she didn't want me to leave home. So she fabricated a plan with which would be my child's father, my first child's father, that he would come into play. He would come into play where my life was concerned, that he would uh, try to get me, okay, try to get me, try to keep me. Well, when I had my baby, my grandmother would do like, because my mama, she was able to get my little brother because my mama had violated. At that point, she was supposed to be clean. She was supposed to be clean, but she ended up hitting the streets again. So, well, her facing a violation or whatever, that's how she tried to control my mother. So then that opened my eyes to what she was doing because she was trying to brainwash me to make me hate my mother. But she didn't like it because she could never turn me against my mom. I always loved my mom. It ain't nothing she could do or say to make me, and she used to tell me, no, I'm your mama. You call me your mama. I say, no, she's my mother. Now I call her mama one and you mama two. That's about as far as we're gonna get with that. Because she is my mother. So she had a disdain for me because I had a diehard love for my mama. I didn't care what her being on addicted or whatever the case may be. That's my mom. And she wasn't going to replace or erase my mom from my life. So she fabricated this whole thing with this young man. And case may be, this is why I tell y'all. It took him over a year and some. I wouldn't let nobody touch me to at that point. But at this point, I wanted to get away from my grandmother. And I had prayed and I asked for a baby. All the people said you get away from grandma, get your place to stay, da 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 da. See, all these things factor in. These things don't come across the news. These are things they don't investigate. These are things they don't know. What caused people to function the way, or how did this really happen? All they say is, "Oh no, she was a child. He's a pedophile." Well, yet the same police officer, when he at me being about 7 months pregnant, Mr. Military takes me, choke me up against the wall, feet dangling, pregnant, 7 months. The police come as concerning our altercation. Do you think they arrested him because I was pregnant and he put his hands on me? Nope. At that time, I didn't think about it that it would affect my baby and it would affect if I was going to be in a relationship with him. That he was older than me, so he was looking at going to jail for real. You see what I mean? But after a while, now I started to understand the law, started to understand what was going on. Now I see just how. You see what I mean? So that's what God means when things happen in your life and you'll be able to not be stuck in the past, but you reflect back on that. Through that experience, you gain wisdom. And hopefully it provokes you to do better and to change and to think before you start doing things and acting and saying things. Amen. So let me hurry up, run back this real quick. The police talked to me. He put me to the side and he talked to me because he had talked to him first. He didn't put him in cuffs or nothing. I never will forget it. He was a black man. And he talked to my child's father and he said, uh, I was just thinking about this as I was listening to the both of y'all. He said the fact that she's 15 years old, uh, he would be in a situation, and he was in the military. Um, hmm, he was married with children. That part. That's what the whole fight was about. Because when I found out that he was married, took my virginity, and you got a whole family over here. Yeah, it was on and popping. The reason I called the people on him is because when I took my grandmother used to buy me a lot of perfumes back then too, expensive perfumes and stuff, and I used to collect it. I love scents, perfumes and stuff. She used to have Avon. Back then, those Avon bottles were so thick and stuff. And that's like I fired all the bottles and stuff while we was playing. But I was like 5 foot. He was 6 something in height or whatever the case was. So just imagine. And he had me on the wall, up in the air, choking me, 7 months pregnant. So I had to get loose. When I did, and he went down, when I dropped off the wall, I hit the floor. He went down 6 foot, 200 or something, plus probably more than that pound. Put his knee. straight down in my stomach. He could have killed me and my baby. He put a 9 Glock in my head and told me, "You think you gonna leave me?" Already done plotted and planned it. This is God heaven truth. I already plot and planned it. I'm gonna unalive you, the baby, and then I'm gonna do myself. You talk about this is stuff you hear about grown-ups. A 15-year-old child, and I'm 40 something today, and not playing the victim. So I find that there's no excuse. There's no excuse to be running around here acting like she had no part in it. Is it fair that that happened to her? But if God chose to take her home that way, then He did. It's some people who make it like me in life. It's some people that don't. So was it time? That is the way it was happening, and that's the thing that we don't factor in. So because we are connected to these things emotionally, so that response that we have that is normal because that's still somebody's child. Correct. But when you go out to the point and y'all just pick it and whatever, whatever, and oh, leave that family alone. You know, da, 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 da. Well, you over here and all the things somebody came back and said what somebody said about my brother, whatever, but they don't even know the whole situation. They don't even know what happened or whatever the case may be. But with this girl in that situation, I don't care which way you fasten it and which way you push. They should have been more responsible than they was for a 10-year-old, for a child at any age being a teenager in their home. So how happened they had other kids that they look for or whatever the case may be. And this one here, so you do deal with that because these children get, I don't care how prominent and rich of a family you are. Who is that girl? Who the little white girl is? What the little white girl? Uh, is it Miley Cyrus? Not Miley Cyrus. What the other girl? Where they played the video, I mean the thing where they was twins in the video, whatever. That girl name. She be in the news now or whatever. Then even back in my time, you had Madonna talk about Papa Don't Preach. She made the very song. Papa Don't Preach. I'm something something. I don't know. Remember it? Cause I made up my mind. I keep my baby. I'm gonna keep my baby. Ooh. That's those are the things that you think is not. I'm just making it real to you. So imagine us bouncing around and listening at Madonna, and we 14 and we 15 years old. Oh, I'm gonna keep my baby. Ooh, gonna keep my. But Madonna didn't tell you what come along with the baby. Hollywood. And you know, in her video, y'all remember the video? She was skipping. I never will forget. Baby, she was skipping. Papa don't preach. She was just skipping. She was that teenage girl. Then you had the song in the back population. Who was that? What his name was? A teenage love. Oh, don't, don't hurt me again. Don't, don't hurt me again. A teenage love. What was that? Who was that? Then you had who? Bobby Brown and who the boy? R. Kelly. Step in my room, 'cause I got a little son. Age ain't nothing but a number. Throwing down ain't nothing but a thing. What? That's the same little girl end up dying. And this is what R. Kelly, a grown behind man in the music industry, why did they put Aaliyah? Why did they put Aaliyah? I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump of grind. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I guess that's why he been in prison for so long. He ain't see nothing wrong with his grown perfect behind right around here messing with these children. And Paula White, yeah, the one advising the president, that one right there. It's the same one. Go back and get the video. R. Kelly, Dietrich Haddon, all of them was shot across her pulpit with her husband who was sleeping with strippers. Well done, Mr. President. That's your advisor. So you can't see why she get all the flax and all the whatever. And she go out to do like your wife and find a man who succeeds her financially so she could stay wealthy and be taken care of. See, these are things that ain't in y'all news and y'all numbers. Because see, as long as people are around, you can't erase legacy. You can't erase the memories because these people have experience. They witnessed it. They saw it. So no matter how you try to get rid of a person, there's evidence all around, witnesses to the fact that these things occur, or this happened, or that happened. You see? So we understand that David was a child when he met her also. Y'all have a one-sided, I'm reading from what I had put on it. Y'all have a one-sided view and you don't know the full intentions of Celeste, of her family, nor David. Yes, it was pure evil that transpired. Nevertheless, it's a great lesson for us all. There's a great escalation in this world as we know it right now. Not hateful, not saying you're wrong and they were wrong. It's saying you don't know, as Proverbs said, the whole matter. It's only so much you as a person. What people pressuring you, pushing you. You talking about this child himself. And even though age, they talk about you 18. 18 is still a teenager. Let's get that straight. No matter what the law say, 18 is still a teenager, a child. So at 20 years old, and he did something with his life and thinking, because you're not thinking, in his song, he said, I wanted a friend. And it turned into something else. You talking about a what? 15, 16, how many years old is the girl? So at this point, her being 10, 11 years old, growing up around here, you said he started messing with her when she was about 13 or whatever the case may be. So 10, 11, 12. She was out there being fast. She was out there doing things. You don't know what she learned, drugs she was on, no none of that. And yet you say, which it could have been. He could have fed the drugs to her to destabilize her from what he knew he was going to do to her. She could have already had drugs in her system. All of that. Containing and depending on how much she had in her system to either call it an overdose or whether he used that to somehow keep her from being violent. I looked at one of his videos yesterday, last night, and it almost took my soul, y'all. And in the video, it looked like it did. He had bruisings on his face and stuff. And he was so dumb to the factor because y'all not looking at what's happening. And this boy being triggered. He has not been able to grow into adulthood himself. He's still stuck at the moment. And he had issues. I don't care what you say. David had issues where his mama was concerned. He said that he could not stand his little sister because her mama gave her anything. Now, watch this. He developed a fascination with young girls. The things that he couldn't do to his daughter, to his sister, and all the affection that he see started from a woman. See, paying attention, learning something. Yeah, I ain't have to have a degree for it. My life is a degree. That part. So these things from when his mama paying his little sister more attention because people have a way, just like drunk people, when they tell the truth. I told you, even when your children get grown, there's some things you're gonna think you was the perfect parent. You're gonna think you raised them, you did it, whatever. They gonna find some kind of way. It's something, at least one thing they gonna come up with, and they gonna tell you, and it's gonna really jar you. Confirmation. It's gonna jar you. It's gonna catch you totally off guard because you're gonna be in your mind and you're gonna say, I know what I provided for you. I sacrificed you. You know what I mean? Because they get out here and they hear all this kind of stuff right here, and now all this stuff. You shut yourself. That's what my second oldest, I guess that's what she call herself doing. Whatever. I don't know. She just embarrassed by the situation, or maybe can't face it. But I don't care to get into it. Gotta fix it, and whatever. I'm not mad or anything like that. But just saying, because this is all about showing you that not just because you're saved or you're a pastor or you're a preacher, you don't go through things in life. Yes, you do. They experience life just like you. And you can't control beyond that point what your children do, what they go out and do. Just like the boy went in there and he did what he did with them children. But his grandmama was the one trying to keep him on the straight and narrow. You see what I mean? She wasn't like not what the girl, Nazaya's grandmama. That lady was trying to provide a better way and a better life for her grandson and thought it, but it did something to her to know that he went to school and did what he did. She don't know, but she knew that he stayed off from people all the time. He was always in there fascinated with certain things or whatever. As a grandmother, she was just thinking, well, okay, well, and as long as he's not, in the street doing certain stuff or whatever, she didn't mean anything to be wrong with that. When the whole time she had a whole mass MUR DUR right there in her house. You see? Went to school because one of them children I tripped and got there and tell like he talk about he wrestling with his identity, that part. Somebody triggered him and he went go take out the whole darn school. That's crazy. But y'all fight for the rights of this stuff as if it's gonna change the narrative. It's not. Well, you better off not even telling somebody you that way if you know it's gonna pose a threat to your life or put you in a situation like that. But y'all can't see that because you label pride next to it. You just gotta show it off. You just got somebody just has to know. You just have to make people respect you. Baby, they still don't respect you whether you black or white. You got the clans now over there in Texas walking around waiting to get into some stuff, which this little prophet right here, so he ain't told y'all, and now it's in the news that I told y'all. You gonna see them start servicing this thing, and Trump about to get out of office. Y'all gonna be seeing beheadings and what them things is, honey, lynchings and all that kind of stuff. You ain't believe when I was telling you, because these folks been behind that one. These motorcycle gangs, but he talk about locking up the cartels. You look right now, it's these gangs, these motorcycle societies, and they try to keep them out of the limelight. And Trump try to keep your mind on other stuff, but these is the gangster mentalities of people. Look like them the ones that should be guarding for as the White House is concerned. Sorry. But seem to me, they be doing more justice than the folks who run around with them suits on. No disrespect, just saying. Because I do understand being Secret Service or whatever, it's only so much y'all can do, especially with because Mr. President is not Mr. P be having his own mind, bro. Say, look, I understand very well, especially when it's older people that stay in their ways. Yes. Yes. Okay. But anyway, just don't y'all don't get all in your fixes about that. I love Mr. P and everybody else. And respect for those who put their lives out there to respectfully, and whether they like him or not, put their life in danger to protect him as well. Amen. So, like I said, don't be all over here and whatever you got here. You gonna have to know when I'm serious and when I'm just making y'all laugh and stuff like that. You over here all in your feelings gonna be hurt because I will let you know. Okay, so just let's know in love, I'm gonna do it. All right, now I erase my comment that I. Well, so it say let your child date a grown man for financial gain. They put it in perspective. Paying bills, putting food on the table is quite literally pimping out your child. The only person I have sympathy for is the victim. The family definitely has some play in all of this, and you gotta remember that I'm reading comments that they still have other minor children. That's what I'm talking about. And you gotta think they could. You gotta think if they couldn't take care of Celeste, then they probably aren't taking care of their other children. Well, Celeste being the so-called victim and with the situation and the status that she's not just like one of these people that come across the news and they throw away after that, find out what happened to them and y'all ain't got no more views that or what happened to them to keep it going or whatever the case may be, so it dies down. You forget their name and you remember them when somebody think about posting them again. But in this situation, worldwide, in a situation that can't just go away from a young man who had money. So they gained off her life, her whole life, whether they got government assistance before she was able to be touched by anybody else, whether than those that's in the home. When she started dating this young man, she was getting financial whatever out of him. Her becoming of age and enough, now she knew how to work the system to get what she wanted out of him, and whatever the case may be, or whatever the case may be, or he loved her enough to do that for her. There's something that y'all don't get because you're looking at his actions and what he did, but you're not listening at what could have drove him to that point because he made these songs. At what point? Because he said in one of his songs, "You crossed the line." What if she was hollering? Have y'all factored in? I seen something that caught my eye yesterday. Her clothes, he paid for. This is what is crazy. He couldn't be that stupid. He paid for an Uber driver or whatever to bring her to his home after they had got into it. She got in that Uber and came back to his house. If she didn't feel safe or thought that David would do something to her, watch this now. Instead of her just going home while she had the chance, and maybe God was giving her that out. But this is how little girls overplay their hand because they think they got it when they fast. So you ain't gonna tell me she wasn't doing other stuff because she had another boyfriend before and while dating. Oh, what you say? Yes. So that plays in the whole factor. That denotes all that stuff y'all talk about David grooming her. No, she stuck with David because David had money. She didn't want no feelings attached. You remember, she's still a growing girl. She don't know what it is now to have sex and to be able to get money and whatever growing into. And he said we were growing together, watching the sunset or whatever, whatever. So I thinking along this line, just get in his head for a minute. That here, I think now I got control. She was in the predicament. I feel like I'm her savior as a teen boy and all that. Well, I'll protect her. It seemed like her family can't get control of her, whatever. So then they say, well, okay, well, if that's gonna keep her out the street or whatever, he just say, well, let's try to, put the situation in a way where if she with me, we'll not be public with it because it'll get me in trouble, and also, whatever as far as my career and stuff was concerned. So I'll do whatever I can to help you guys out or whatever. It could have been just that simple. Could have been just that simple. and they cross him by them being in need or whatever, whatever. They found out how to build the game. So whatever her parents and stuff is asking her for, of course she'll ask him why she can't get money out of it. But this is something somebody made this in the comments too. That you think we missed the fact that in that picture that she had on, that jacket was holy or whatever. So her David had all this money paying for him to live in mansions and all this kind of stuff and all this kind of stuff. It's something really strange. So his studying and mentally being fascinated with whatever this thing is, where they looking at this thing where he had these little, what that thing is they watch with the little bloody images and stuff like that and stuff like that. He said he was addicted to it. Okay. Then he becomes addicted to little girls. So this is the same thing what you mean when y'all teach these boys to go out here and use their male phallic while they can before it stop operating when they get older, if they can get older, without factoring in the fact that they can get babies out of wedlock, diseases, and all other sorts of things that could be going on with them. Because you ain't worried about your little prostate. But y'all put that, y'all know y'all uncle them and Uncle Day Day them, so I taught y'all that on the block. Teach y'all sitting up there drinking gin and juice and Tangeray and all this. So I told y'all, I ain't dumb as you think. Smoking tweed together and all that stuff past the joint. Why? Because in all ways you get that wisdom for older people and stuff like that. So you got Snoop Dogg and all of them, T.I., all of them. Them boys came out the street. But you know, oh, the thing that I was finna show y'all. Hold on. You remember prophetically when I told y'all this right here was about to happen, and I called the name out, and I said something about the boy or MB no blood boy, whatever his name is. Remember that? Look at that. Look at that. Would I lie? I told y'all I don't even know them. I don't listen to their song. I don't know none of that. But definitely the words that I prophesied to y'all go right there. Is down there in the post. And I sat there and told y'all what God showed me and called that boy's name out. And I said it's somehow connected to him. And it was something going on with him or whatever. Same thing when God had me called out Rihanna's name and French Montana. It be taking me a long time to remember that. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. You know it had to cut off on us just just that quick. So I just seen when it popped on here, I was trying to remember I was talking to y'all and I was trying to say the boy that's in prison that I had prophesied to, that the his friend had got, unalive in the fight, whatever, Vaughn boy. So I just seen him when I was trying to get back on here on YouTube. Lil Durk. That's his name, Lil Durk. Oh, okay. That's not I'm hearing the song. That's how I remember him. That my daughter them used to play that song all my all my life. They've been trying to keep me down, but I thank God or something. I don't know, child. Those star niggas, I don't listen to them. But anyway, when you look at things from a viewpoint, not just from them being our children and things like that, because it takes like the elder said, it takes a village to raise a kid, a child. You know what I mean? So they all our children, regardless of whatever. Some of them that got on the wrong track, some of them then been through things that, and some of them deal with, like some of y'all, you dealt with trauma in a certain way that, and some of y'all probably still is. If God have me ministering about that a whole lot. And I know as a child, when my dad came to see me, my real dad came to see me at 7 years old. God taught me, I didn't know what that was, to detach myself from the whole emotional state and situation of it. My grandmother said to me her point of view of what was going on with my mom. And she asked me what my dad said to me when he told me that was what that would be My last time seeing him, for reasons that he couldn't disclose, that he would never be able to see me again. So when as I was getting older, whatever, I didn't blame my mama for my daddy going nowhere. I didn't blame him for going nowhere. I just said, well, at least he was man enough to come to me and tell me that was be the last time that he would ever see me again. Okay? So it's all about your perspective, the way you looked at it and the way they taught you. Now, if you had a mama sitting up there, mama, I don't ever remember my mama doing nothing like that, telling me to hate my dad. I don't ever remember my mama saying things like that to me. Um, but if somebody was study jugging it at you, your daddy left you and your daddy left. So you grow up with these things and you will blame the daddy all day long. But you won't blame that one that's putting it in your ear, and that's your mama or your auntie, your grandmama, whoever was doing that to you in your family. See what I mean? So you become traumatized by something that was hurting or hurt you in your childhood or your past. And what happens? You grow up with misplaced anger. So why do these things happen with domestic violence and stuff? Misplaced anger. And they get triggered by what they didn't heal from. So instead of y'all hating religion, hating the preaching that comes to you to heal people, to help people in society, just like me, maybe they can't afford counseling. So I'm not charging you to come on here and hear what I have to say because God anointed upon my life. He know that He was gonna have you to cross here or whatever. And maybe it's something you need to hear. Maybe you were sitting up thinking about doing some more crazy stuff or whatever. And maybe God said, "Well, get online." And this thing popped up. You don't know who I am from Adam and Eve to Tim Number Two. But you sat and you listened for 2 minutes. I done had people say they saw and what that thing is, the Catholic diocese where people found that radio station or whatever. It was people gave their testimony. They was thinking about unaliving themselves or whatever, and they got in their car, and when the radio came on, they don't even know how it happened. Their radio station ended up coming on, and there was a gospel song playing that was pleading to that person and telling them about God, and it got them to change their mind about something would have cost them their life. So all that misplaced stuff come from hatred and bitterness that is stemming through you that tells you you get mad when we say it, but it's true. The reason why y'all doing that, including the people that's in the church, because you're bitter, you're unhealed. Jesus did not preach like that. He did not teach them like that. He did not walk like that. He had to become who he represented in the earth, and that was God. Ramase, Robo, Sane, Kashana, Meshikoro Robo Hosetaya. Shanderebehisete. Ramasekerabahoshataya. Jesus. Mm, 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 mm. That was the Holy Spirit to manifest into what God is saying. Instead of you looking at that, if I was on here, that's all y'all would be doing, staring at me. What do I look like? What do my teeth look like? What do my eyes look like? And I think with the person that a person that may be watching me thinking about dating me, I think that's a lot of the portions why God doing what He doing. You know that show that they have, and I think it's some kind of I just seen one portion of it or whatever. I didn't get into it. For me, it wasn't fascinating. I didn't get anything out of it. But somehow they have to date the person behind the closed doors or something, and it's the whole project, the whole intentions of it is to see if a person can fall in love with a person and actually be meant for that person without actually physically seeing them. You know what I mean? And they have with those couples, and then they go out and they meet each other for the first time, and then they go on this, I guess, island or retreat thing or something like that, and then they see if it works between the couples, or if they start getting together with other people. Mm, something island, yeah, somebody's saying it, but I can't pick it up, baby. But I did hear the part that you said it's something island. Oh, thank you, baby. Love's Island. That's it. See, somebody know. I love y'all. That's why I love y'all. Y'all don't be in the comments, but y'all know how to get me a message. Look at that. I love y'all. Um, but nevertheless, when we sitting up here and we looking at these things, you see these young men, some of them or whatever, just a few of them that came up in households where their parents wasn't acceptable for something. But you have to look at that. Look, that's Tupac's brother or something like that that's sitting up there on top of him. These all the things, the same thing with Tupac. The things that he and his mama them connected to the Black Panthers, and then all this stuff. He went into the religion state of things, for further than him being a Christian, and who knows Tupac heart. But there's certain things which y'all think about him being a gangster and all that too that he denied. You understand what I mean? Well, as to where he might not have wanted to, but by him studying Machiavelli and all that stuff, I think he did. He started dibbling and dabbling into different things or whatever, and he just would rather claim him being a Muslim because more widespreadly that's what y'all will accept. But Tupac had a big brain opening to understand when the police beat him, and that was ever embedded in his mind. It triggered him. Y'all don't understand that when these boys get out here and they could be and yeah, they be wilding out. You have to understand the adolescents, they I mean they out here too. But just the same, but you'll take more of somebody taking somebody's life or whatever and say this, but you don't see that about these girls who out here doing the same thing and putting their life in danger. Because just to show what that girl, Faith Evans, and all them, they got in the industry. What did they do? All this thing with Biggie and Tupac or whatever. Guess what? That's what she was out there doing. Sleeping around, trying to make it happen, trying to this and this and this and this. And all of them get on here and they talk to y'all about it and they tell y'all that. Some of them was violated, but some of them knew that this is what was gonna happen. Wendy Williams told her story and how it happened to her. I had a person in the military to sit down and tell me her story and tell me that her one of her general, whatever the person was that was over her. I couldn't believe what she was saying to me. I just couldn't believe it. And I was looking at her, and now I'm telling you honestly the truth. Not that she wasn't a good looking woman or nothing like that, but I was just saying like she wasn't the best looking, but she showed me her younger pictures too when she went in the military. So I was able to see that. I was able to see that. You know what I mean? But it's not like that's what he was looking for because he violated her on the intentions of. You see what I mean? It didn't have nothing to do with what she looked like. You know what I mean? Because you have these monsters out here. But it makes you think and look at how you wired, and now you have to. Because even to tell the truth, just being on social media changed me, y'all. That little quiet, meek lady. So I really had to tell God had to toughen me up. Look, you have to get with it because these some out here. Oh, baby, that little pie thing, you got that little so God had to shift that thing. God shifted that thing. You hear me? So here it is. We want you to develop an understanding and an awareness of what this is truly what it looks like though. Really, when I made that, I had actually when I made that, I had this is what I had typed in. God blocked it. That's why I said, even with AI, look, it come up so dark. So I didn't post it to y'all. Because to me, it just looked like it was so dark. It was so dark. I'm gonna go put that there. So y'all know who you talking to. It's my video. um, so yeah, these are the things that have been happening and those things that I prophesied that was telling y'all about these gangsters and all this kind of stuff, rappers and stuff that God was um taking and all of that or whatever the case may be. That right there, you'll see it down there too. Well, I prophesied that is the case I was telling y'all about. This Gabby situation, this David boy, the same thing, writing letters, the tattoos, all that in that nomad life that they was living and stuff like that. And this girl here, she was very naive. She didn't stand a chance against him and his parents. His parents is pure evil. I think. Look, we going I'm trying up and maneuver through it or whatever. Look at that. Look at it. If you look, and I know for a fact, David studied because this is the way his case is going. Y'all don't see it coming. But David studied what the football player OJ Simpson. OJ Simpson, this case right here, and it's some other y'all thinking that look at that thing and look what he looked like with that thing in his face like that. And look at that girl. But all these things that he fantasized, that he fascinated and fancied in his mind, with her being in his and her wait a minute, I'm trying to get this thing because I have to put it back on. Okay, go ahead and saturate the atmosphere right here. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Remove all negativity, anything that's not like God. In the name of Jesus, protect your people, protect your word and this atmosphere. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I pray in Jesus' name, amen. Um, but all of these things played a part and that they have come in the place of us seeing manifest these things. This is what I was telling y'all when it comes to these rappers and stuff, not predicting, but yet they, because the power of life and death is in the what? It's in the tongue, right? With the power of death, of life and death being in the tongue, you need to understand very much so. Come on, thing. I hope it's charging. Okay, I hope it's charging. But let me hurry up because I know that phone charging. Yeah, what was I saying? With David studying these things and all these things that's going on. And I just want y'all to know that because me experiencing the things that I had to experience like that, and if it had not been for my grandmother telling me, not letting them, teaching me not to let a man abuse me, and if a, I don't know what made her think that, but now that I'm older, I start to wonder did she put that in his head to do that to me? Because before he did that, it was like maybe 2 days before or maybe it was just her intuition. I don't know. I don't want to be blaming her. She's not here to defend herself or nothing like that. But I was thinking that she had him to date me, try to trap me, keep me home, and all this kind of stuff by getting me pregnant and stuff like that. Who knows? You know what I mean? Confirmation. Uh, um, for me to experience that and to see this is why I have such a passion for what I do because I want to see children, young girls, teenagers, young adults and stuff, them come to God, them to know God, that they don't have to live this way. They don't have to accept these things. And because something happened to you, that don't make that's who you are for the rest of your life. It happened to you, but to have a person to transition their mind to see that it happened for you because in these situations, that's a hard thing to sit down and digest when something so terrible happened to you and try to understand that. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm careful with the way I place words and the way I say things because I never want you guys to think that I'm here to harm you, to violate you, to cause you pain, pressure, or any discomfort or things like that. I'm only here to teach you, to teach, to uh, give you an understanding, a clarity, maybe beyond a perception or view or something in a wide spectrum that you may not have. You know what I mean? Or to bring clarity and understanding because it may be something that you do know, and maybe you just was trying to be fickle about it, and God brings it out on the platform. That way, you have now clarity. You know what I mean? And with that, stop letting people fool y'all. This stuff, yes, God does tell us things, whatever when it's prophesied certain things, whatever. But when it come on a personal level, this is something y'all really need to understand about prophecy. That's just confirmation that they're telling you. 99, 90 point something percent of what a person is telling you when it comes to prophetically. So don't come here with that psychic mess. That's why tarot repeats and it does what it does. Because these are things you have to remember. God said he finished it. You hear me? He know the end from the beginning. These things was established, already created, and already going on before establishing the world. A lot of things. So in that time of the fall of man, you have to realize they found the letters way after. Have y'all ever sat down and thought about that? Y'all be talking and wrestling about the Bible so bad. That's why God moved me from just worrying about the book and understanding as to why he gave us his spirit that will teach us all things. So regardless what's in the book, he comes and confirms that even what's not there, that we have a lifeline to him that knows all, created all, bears all for him, for his use, and that you be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that will he also reap. Amen. All right. So, as to those things and understanding, coming through that myself, and I'm not hard towards it, but I know why I had to toughen up. I had to, well, how I had to heal, and I never tell you to put a time frame on it or whatever the case may be. Even Beyonce came out and told them that yes, she told herself she learned. She said when her husband did what he did, he cheated on her. She gave herself what 3 days to cry or whatever, and she sucked it up and she went on. Still me. So it's all about. It's not even just because some of us, and I'm pretty sure she was too, with her mama holding her marriage that long, was trying to talk to keep her marriage and all that kind of stuff. Then you have this whole thing with Tina, married situation, or whoever she name is. Oh, Jesus. She name, whatever her name is, or whatever. No disrespect, I'm just saying. um what God was telling me what a man had it the broadcast or whatever. And I was leaning along the line where he was doing the broadcast or whatever. All that they was doing, it was unnecessary, whatever inside the church or whatever the case may be. But he took it on to a whole and then he started saying, you chose to stay with him and da 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 and this and this and this and this. Who are you? And that's what people be calling y'all car. And that's why God be exposing y'all in those veins that y'all tap into to make people think that because you didn't have to experience that. You don't know how she was brought up and she was taught. You don't understand the fact that she was trying to keep her family together. And she ain't just got no little baby kids. They had a lot of children. they, had, they had a lot of children. Children. I don't even talk like that. They have a lot of children. But for Tina to get up there, what I was expecting to see when he did the video is her, because I know her to go off. You hear me? When she was busting his car windows and all that and all that stuff. That's what you expect from her, because she's a fireball, even though she's saying, baby, oh, her little redhead self, baby. See, them the kind of cousins I had. You know what I mean? But the fact that, and that means she's over it now. She's tired. She gave years to that man. Even when they went through that on the show, she said, "Man, I was good to you. I was faithful to you." See, that's the mental component men don't understand. She can deal with you doing all kind of other things. But just like you can't deal with it when a woman go out and cheat on you, why do y'all think that a woman is wired and she's supposed to accept a man going out and doing that to her and she's been good to you? See, back in my day, they used to call them crazy. But them would be the ones you'd be scared to go to sleep around. Uh-huh. Pray you live through it. You see? Play with it. Y'all like to make everything fantasy. This ain't fantasy. We talk about real life. No, this ain't your tarot readers with all this and that and one-sided narrative and karmic this and karmic that, and we all karmic at one time, and and da 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 da. Where if karmic, you calling God a karmic because he got angry too. He gets angry. He displays his wrath and all that kind of stuff. So that's what that's a part of the emotions, the human anatomy, our makeup. You do know that, right? All these senses and third senses and all these things and eyes and things you say we have, but somehow you don't comply to that. Like you ain't never had a fight before. Like you ain't never got mad at nobody before. Like you ain't never cussed nobody. You do that all day, every day on your platform. Like, come on. Come on now. If you're gonna make the statement, make it believable. At least do that. Like, get real. I done went upside some men head. I just shared that so y'all die. Why I separated from that man? Because I see where it was going, and I was gonna end up in prison if me and him had to stay together any longer. Because he was a provoker. He just do things, and he just ooh. That's when you know when you in a relationship, when somebody brings nothing but the worst out of you, let it go before you see this situation arrive in your life. Now you want your parents on TV crying and all this kind of stuff. When where is it? Y'all always talking about nobody can't tell y'all nothing. See, that's your problem. Y'all so heady, prideful, high-minded, think you know everything by knowledge and all that, but you don't usurp the wisdom that you should have gleaned from all those things. And you stayed longer than you should have. I did it. That's what God told me. With that baby girl, daddy, riding home after she graduated. I said, "Ooh, thank you, Jesus," because that's all I asked God to do. That her daddy would be in her life in the way I know that he should have been. And I knew as long as he was attached to me, because he didn't want me out of his life, that's what he was gonna do. I had to went on to be with somebody else. So don't go telling me I trapped him into nothing. Not since day one. When I got pregnant, I told him I want to have kids. I'm not saying you have to be here. No, we don't have to get married because I got pregnant with her. That's not where I was in my life. I was out there. I wasn't in the streets, but I still wasn't. I was still in sin. Just put it that way. So therefore, the narrative that he went and spent the people to make people, because he was an intention, you know what, WHORE, and that is what he sought to get. But he tried to keep me hidden and tried to keep me because that was his whole thing from the beginning. He knew that. And he knew I had the ability to walk away from him with better. And all those things where he tried to close it off. But there was times where I seen where I had to start praying because he had an unhealthy obsession with me. Then when I started going to church, didn't nobody know anything about it. We met 18, 19 years old, whatever the case may be, that we were. And it was certain things that I won't embarrass him on here or nothing like that. But he know and I know there were certain things. And family members knew because he did those things. And but to keep him because I don't know why he felt like that was something. But I used to tell him, you don't have to do that. I'd rather you just communicate with me. But his his definition of love and how he should display to me when we were teenagers, because that's all we still was at that time. His display of if I make myself look stupid or put myself out there like that, then she'll love me because I understood what was happening with his mama and his daddy and his background, where he came from. Now you understand? So that's why you don't see me get on here and you be saying, oh, and I could treat you better, and this and this and this and that. That's not the perspective that I'm coming from. And as a matter of fact, if I give you a chance, I expect you to. And if you don't, I know what to do about that too. But understanding that I understand that as us being that age and the mind frame that we have, and understanding that the way his mother was treated, the way his father and whatever. And his mom was the more dominant one in their relationship. So he gravitated to me. He was even jealous of our daughter that because of the attention that I paid her. He didn't want anybody to come in between that. So the oldest one and him, they used to bump heads. It's not that he didn't have love for her, but there was, you could tell there was a little jealousy between. And she used to say, she used to say stuff that, and then it was somebody that I dated along the way that came, because that was something that baby girl's dad would never say out of his mouth, but he felt that he did. And now it made me aware because somebody who wasn't afraid to offend me for the right reasons as a male in my life that would be in my children's life, he said it to me. He said, Natalie, you want me to tell you the truth about the situation? He said, your daughter, and I don't think that it's a bad thing, but it's the way that your daughter has it in her head. It's her way of protecting you. So I get it because she's seen what you've been through. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, always been that way about me. But when it was somebody that she was thinking that it was gonna get to the point of probably married or something like that, she would start saying things or doing things or whatever because she didn't want nobody to hurt her mama. So for that way, she would find a way to try to make me say, because before I sit up there and ignore my children, I'll just dead the relationship and just stay single to make sure that my daughter got the proper attention and the proper care. But because she knew that, she used it against me. Er, y'all better write that down. Children have more sense than you think they have. So it took the man to say what he said to me. And he's like, if you get mad at me, but I just thought you should know because I know you love your children. That's why I love you. But I just want you to know because I'm not that type of man. And I would never touch girls or do anything like that. But I just want you to know that this is the source of the problem in your relationships because she don't want you. He was up for the challenge. And they and him and her became good. I mean, even after we broke up, he was like, here's my number. If you having problems with her or whatever, and he let her know. I'm there for you if you want me because he knew her dad wasn't there. You know what I mean? But I didn't want him making that promise and then he move on with somebody else and then girls be talking about, oh, yeah, yeah. And that ain't your daughter. You need that cut. You just want to be close. I ain't have time for that mess. So I told my daughter, I said, listen, I know he told you that, but unless he showed you those signs, whether he have more children or whether he's with somebody else or whatever the case may be, that determining factor that he will be consistent in your life and not showing up and then leaving for a certain time or whatever the case may be when it comes to your life. Now that's when you can internalize that to know that he'll be there for you. But at this point, it's too early to say that because 9 times out of 10, whoever he's going to end up dating outside of me and you're not his biological child, she's going to have a problem with the situation. So I don't want you to be hurt. Not that he didn't come from a good place, but I don't want you to get hurt. Because when it's a situation like that, if he decides he want to be with her long term or he wants to, see it to marriage with her or whatever, it's a determining fact. He may choose her over you instead of you. Not over you, but instead of you. You know what I mean? When it comes to the situation as him being his personal life and him being a man or whatever. So she understood what I was saying to her. You know what I mean? But during the first like year or so, he was consistent with if she needed, whatever, because she was getting to that age of I guess she was like 18 or something like that. I think she was getting to that age and stuff like that or whatever. But anyway, we go through these things and those challenges. That's why I don't let nobody make me a victim. These things, I wouldn't be able to talk to you and give you the wisdom that I have and those testimonies. But as you can see, I'm not crying, I'm not throwing shade, I'm not throwing rocks at them, trying to knock them out and all that kind of stuff. My child's father had to do children. I have to learn to change that. My children's father had to deal with that too, as both of us being young, because we went through those stages where he was ready to be married, I wasn't ready to be married. I was ready to be married, he wasn't ready to be married. And we kept bouncing that same cycle. And I seen just how God said in the first 3 weeks of your relationship, if y'all pay attention to that, when you're on the dating sites and you're dating people, this is something God showed me. The way you start out that relationship, with that person, that's why the oldest say, if nip it in the bud. When you see it, nip it in the bud, because how you started, that's the way it's going to end. So I took that with a grain, what you say, grain of salt, rose, or whatever. You see what I mean? But it's ever so true. And what you allow is going to continue. So if you allow these behaviors of men and women who treat you this way because of financial reasons or whatever the case may be, you're no longer a victim. Nobody is grooming you. We need to stop this mess. That's tolerating the behaviors of people that's calling enablers. Instead of you calling it for what it is, so that they can see themselves and change their ways. It's easy for you to get out here and put a stamp on them or whatever. I could have called all my children that is no good, lazy, or all that stuff. But it was never about them in their pockets. It was always about my children and their fathers being in their life. I didn't care about child support. My grandmother told me, what you birth into this world, make sure you take care of it. Mama's, daddy's, maybe, whatever, how y'all see it. Mama's baby, daddy, baby. But that's one thing stuck with me. What you birthed into this world, you took care of it. So what I see my mama do and what I see my mama go through, that told me right there I wanted to be a different type of mom, and that I was gonna ensure and make sure that I developed that type of motherly relationship with my children. So a lot of stuff, when you heard me talking about that, whatever, it's not that I'm scoring or anything. I was just telling y'all that when what I experienced, because it's a lot of people going through that. And you may not be able to internalize what I went through. Instead of her having a nasty attitude with me, any mother would have said, I disown you. Not just her, it's two of them. You see what I mean? But me and the other one, we talk, we get along, we whatever, and we can't get along, then whatever. But if she don't never let it go like that or whatever. But the other one, that man, well, I don't know what she done came across since anyway, we're not gonna get into that. But it's just the point that she has a mother who love her beyond DEATH. You hear me? That there's nothing she could do, nothing she could say. That is with my heart. That is my baby. You see what I mean? But that you would do that to your mother, but yet this man did all that to you, and you will sit up and take him back. You will sit up and hold on to him, which ain't had nothing to do with me. I ain't say leave. I ain't say stay. I just prayed for him in the situation and was there for her. So I understood, even after all I've been through, I went to God and I looked at the whole situation. I even told mommy and everything or whatever, because I don't tell mommy everything. It had to be real heavy for me to call my mom and say, Mom, this what going on or whatever. And my baby girl. The person that's the way it happened like that, because the person that I talked to was her. That was my daughter. When I got pregnant and I was like, oh, I done I done failed God. I done, oh Lord, I done messed up so bad. I don't want no baby from him. Oh Lord. And Lord popped her in my, he said, you could trust her. And she said, Mom, She said, I'll help you take care of the baby. There was a man with a boat. I never will forget it. I was at a gas station, the Wawa's on Hillsboro, and I was sitting at the gas pump and I was talking to my baby. Because that night I knew I had got pregnant. I fe- Instantly I felt when I got pregnant. And my mind was just saying, no, 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 that's not, no, 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 no. I mean, I was nauseous. I was, and it was just something, and he stood back and he looked at me. He knew. And he ran downstairs to go smoke a cigarette. I knew he knew then. That's the whole military technique he had anyway. When he sees it, well, he would go up one of them on cancer sticks. And I was sitting up there and I was like, that boy slept. He got in that bed. I was like, he slept like a baby. I stayed up all night, yo. All night. I had been celibate the whole time. I mean, abstinent the whole time. And when the tarot reader said that, and that's when God said it. That's when God said it to me. And He said, just it's several things that I want to teach you and show you in this. And that's when He told me that tarot stuff is all lies. I ended up in bed with him because them two heifers, and I can still probably look them up right now and bring them right here before y'all. And I bet you them the heifers that y'all listening to could have changed my whole path had I not knew God, had I not knew how to pray. And I know God was gonna answer the way He did. And I said, God, with that boy's mama and all of this stuff, I said, I just see it. I say, if any way that this is gonna end me up in court or in trouble where it's gonna make me go to jail, legal ramifications down the line. I don't know how you can do it or how you gonna do it, Lord, but I can't have this baby. I don't believe in abortions. I don't believe in those things. And I will not have that on my record before God. But I pray earnestly to God. And I say, God, if you do it for me, you won't have to worry about me outside of marriage, sleeping with nobody else. Because the last thing I want to do, I prayed since the first day I got saved that I did not want to be one of those preachers and one of those people who get out here and bring God to an open shame. And I sat there in tears and I prayed. And God let me go through a couple of months of practicing. And it started to. And I made up in my mind. I said, when my baby talked to me, she said, Mom, we love you. And we know you done lived a good life in front of us. And you taught us about God. It was hard. She said, it's not that we don't know that you can't do anything wrong. She said, but you taught us well, each one of us. And she said, we don't judge you, we love you. And that's when I knew. She said, whatever you need, Mom. She said, I don't have no kids. She said, I'll help you take care of the baby. She was in the military. She had not been home in so long. I sat there and the man peeked from beside I had her on speakerphone. Me and her was talking in the car. And the man peeked over from the gas pump and he looked because he see I just put the phone on silent and I just went to ball and crying because I just knew. I said I failed my family, God. I failed you. I failed everything. I just messed up and I couldn't believe it. And I just felt the Holy Spirit just wrap around me. I was sitting there and comforted me. And he said, don't worry. When I came here, God told me, he said, go to your mom's house. Leave your house and go to your mom's house. I had no idea. I had no idea what was about to transpire. But I knew that it was something. I decided that I was going to go ahead and go to the doctor because I could feel that it was something that not normal. And I didn't think of witchcraft and stuff like that or whatever. That's why all that stuff with the tarot readings and all that stuff started to pop up. And that's when I started praying to God, asking God and asking Him about witchcraft. What is it? And why is it that this happened? What is it? And He said, these people that's coming across you on these dating sites and these internet, He said, I need to make you aware because these people are using those things that you don't know against you, which is tarot readings and witchcraft and stuff like that. And I saw it the whole time. I didn't tell nobody. She kept it. She didn't tell nobody. And she said, "Ma, when you ready, and if you need me to," she said, "I respond to you. And I'm here if you need to talk to me or whatever." She said, "If you need, before you break it to everybody else." Even when I would had the miscarriage right here, my mama right there, she could tell you. My mama did not know I was pregnant. None of them. And my brother's mouth dropped. I think I shocked my brother's nervous system. Oh my God. And that goes to show you the type of life I live from mine. And it's not nothing to be undercover or whatever. If I was gonna go out with somebody, but I let my mom know or one of my children know so they'll know or whatever. But my brothers, they all look like well, they be doing their own little thing. And I didn't even say nothing to her dad, her dad either, their dad either. I saw it with the whole pregnancy, and I said, I'm not gonna, I don't want nothing else to do with him. And maybe God allowed it that because He told me not to even take him back, not to have no more to just dismiss him for good. Listen to a lie tarot readers. I opened the door, and it could have cost me dearly. So I don't tell you something out of hatred and out of bitterness. I tell you what happened to me by experience. Because a lot of y'all think that that's the way to go. And there's some of the things that y'all doing, not knowing when they talk about chosen and you being set apart for God use and God chose you. It's a oh God confirmation. It's a lot of things that you should not tap into because that's just how dangerous. That's what it means. What happened to Paul, and you cannot take it as a joke, taking it lightly. That is what I be saying. So you look at these situations and you understand. We try to rationalize it and pin it down and why this and why that and why it couldn't end this way. Well, God have all the answers to it. And you have to realize you being in a human body and a human position that you don't know all of that and all that kind of stuff. And you need to understand. Whether he purposed it for us to know or whether he didn't or whatever the case may be. Let it be what it is. Stop trying to be God. Stop trying to play God, investigator, and all this kind of stuff. Because it ain't. It's a bunch of gospel, a bunch of slams and stuff, plus putting it out there. Because it could switch to be so, and that ball go right out of there. That something come up and set the bomb up to. There's something right up in there. The only reason why I stick to it in the way that because God can't, God is not gonna lie. He's not gonna tell me a lie. He didn't tell it to me about Nazim, what a girl, Naziah. And I tell y'all something that'll blow y'all mind. Beyond is weighed out in these posts. I was already prophesied and didn't even know. I didn't know this all this stuff even was going on when it came to Naziah Harris. And I kept hearing that little girl. And I was denying the fact that I was hearing what I was hearing. And she began to tell me in so many words that she overplayed her hand. But the girl was breaking down crying, and she said, the thing is that because I knew he loved me, I never thought that he would do this to me. Because in some instances, and when he was sitting there the way he was with the way he did, it kind of came off as if he knew what was at stake, but also with her trying to get away from her grandmama and her aunties and stuff. That would he have put himself and went through all of that because people knew him as a pedophile in order to free her and her baby from the predicament of the grandmother and the aunties? Or did truly he cover for the auntie, which knowing when Naziah got pregnant, these are the things they ain't factoring in that they ain't telling y'all. And they did all this performance show with the grandmama. Now that's one person where y'all talk about saved. No, baby, that's a no. She and you took something from her and hit her. Wait, when she found out the girl was dead, uh, missing to the point that she could have been dead, or whatever case may be, she ain't do none of that. Only Jarvis's sister showed up in authentic nature to care about what happened to Naziah, Jarvis, and she said, "That's my brother," and we wouldn't talk like that. She said, "But the only thing that I'm pleading to you for is that you would tell us, you would give her family peace in where Naziah is." Have y'all ever thought about that? Why? He already knew he was on death row. He already knew he was going in for it. He already knew what was at stake. Yet he took it to his grave. Y'all would think it was crazy out of everything that they found and the evidence. If they didn't produce some bones and whatever for the fact that he killed that girl, because some of this stuff has happened before in our lifetime. And they have found these girls somewhere living somewhere else. Y'all had Bonnie and Clyde. What was that other? It wasn't Mancini. What's that was? What that was? It was. They made a movie out of it. It was one, and the girl. He took the girl and ran away with the girl. The girl ran away, and he whatever he had a room for the girl. I don't know because y'all can look the movie up. I don't know. It's a old. It's got to be a old, like an older movie. I don't know if they have it in Crime Watch or whatever those things that y'all be watching. But the particular young lady, when she went to the room and all of that, and she made the decision that she ran away from home. She trusted the fact that she wanted to be with that. She was around the age with that man, and he vowed they made a blood promise with each other or something or whatever. And she made that with that man. And when he got in trouble, he never revealed that she was alive. She had a baby, and he was tried, persecuted, and all that as being a pedophile and all of that. But because of her state and position that she was in, he kept the secret. And that girl was able to live out of abusive situation that was in her home. He didn't have a life anymore. And he knew that if it came out that way, anyway it go. He took it to his grave, and people thinking that he kidnapped, he groomed, he unalived whoever the young lady was. And yes, she was over there living a good life. He took care of her and her baby. You see that? So this why it comes in what the Bible tells us: do not bear false witness, and why it's important for us to hear the whole matter before we make these judgments in which we don't know. Instead of waiting until the evidence, then you pressure the police and the investigation and all that. Of course, they're not gonna tell you that. So I made mommy and me some shrimp and potatoes. She would claim she wasn't hungry, but when she went in there after she seen me eat my food, and she came into the door. This is good. You said, I say, no, now she in there. My uncle that came in sometime. So she gonna take that, make her eat, and make her hungry. And that's why I was saying, oh, now you in there hollering about you. Because I was like, you was not gonna get on my nerves. I did all that, came over here, over all that stuff to cook, and then she gonna sit up there, I ain't hungry. And I say, "Look, all right, whatever. Now I put it up here. Well, she can fix her food. Sure. She have to be in her little babyish era. And I be like, Lord, she better eat that food. But anyway, let me go ahead, so we can get rid of this. Oh, that's what I was doing. Sorry, y'all. Let me get this real quick so we can get off here. All right. So this is what I wanted you to hear. Um, her parents are still at fault. I do feel bad that they lost her, but never an excuse to trust a random. There you go. You trusted a random person with your 10-year-old. Not even just one day. He knew her till he ended her life at 14. Y'all just put that together now. A family who claimed they didn't know she just ran away, didn't report her missing, knew that she dated some man named David. But none of this got to the police. They didn't talk to the people at the school, children's services, or nothing to get involved to whatever. Why? They was trying to protect their own self. Because 99 point some percent of the people, when it comes to that, they don't want the rest of their kids taken. Oh, they know. So they'll rather let her stay out there with him and do what she was doing than, see, because that was going to prompt a whole investigation into their family. And whether you say it's cultural by being Spanish, a Spanish family or whatever, and you can, that is a contributing factor. They don't think nothing wrong with. Look at it when they do these little. They got a sweet 16, sweet 15 or something. When they put these girls out here and they have these parties and stuff like that. Even when I watched the girl over there, she was going on her wedding. She already had a boyfriend and everything. And I was like, dog. Then the mama out there kissing in a whatever. She was so engulfed in that man who was peeping over here at the fence at me. But I was sitting up there looking at her girl, but the girl act more mature than the mama. And the little boy around there gave somebody, a little girl, a STD at 7. Who does that? A Spanish lady. And she sit right there at the window every time I say something or whatever. She have a bullhorn like to listen through the windows and stuff. That's crazy. But that's why I left for a while and stuff because she was literally, y'all, and I don't know who the man was or whatever. I had to stop sitting in my car. I used to like have my little downtime, go in my car, and um relax, listen to my music, let the breeze blow through, or whatever the case may be. Just put when I'm parked outside, or whatever the case may be. It had got to the point, and he would come out there, even with his friends and stuff. They knew they had a whole party going on over there. Do you know that man? And they came to find him, and they came out there, and I was in the car. I was doing like this. I was preaching a message. And when I looked up, he was at the door. It whatever I said caught his attention when I was talking about God. And the other men. Next thing I knew, they had done left the women inside the house, and their party came outside. And all along was over there. And he was just, and when they wives and stuff made them come back in the house, she pulled him in there. And the next 10 minutes, that man came back out of the door. And he was standing over there across that fence. I was like, this is. So anytime I would see them come up and stuff, just to keep them from, you know, and that from happening, I was like, that is, why would she think I want him? That's real. That's disrespectful. Her neighbor, and she's sitting right there. That's disrespectful. So I said, no, I just threw my hands up. I said, my business, but I'm just stay out the way. Because nobody can't be claiming, oh, I'm a homebreaker. Oh, it is what I ain't forcing his eyes over this way. Heck, they stay way over there. And I called them, I did, y'all. I called them children of the corn, under the stairs or something. She be all behind the shed, peeping at me in the bushes and stuff. Y'all, I used to be like, what? And I told my mama, I was like, I don't get it. I don't even know when I caught the man got to her eye, and she met him, and he was all into her and whatever. Then her cousin, her sister, or whatever came out there, and she was just like, "Oh, y'all two was meant to be together," and this and that. She tried to say it in front of me, but they was jealous because of my skin complexion and me speaking Spanish, and they couldn't figure out whether I'm a mixed race or whether I'm a Spanish race or whatever the case may be. So they had a whole thing, and so they was the ones throwing the witchcraft over here at me, trying to somehow thinking, oh, I would block her from speaking Spanish if they didn't like it or whatever, and knowing that my grandson is of the descent, and we was teaching him sign language Spanish and the whole thing. But they had got to the point. So when he didn't get what he wanted, they switched. Anyway, try. I just be like, and that's why y'all see me when I say that. Not people around me and stuff like that. But I don't like stuff like that. I don't like being in the midst of stuff like that. And I've always been that way. I was raised that way. My grandma used to tell me the same thing when it came to friends and me having somebody one day when I had got older. She said, you always need to be aware of that when it comes to women. Don't let a bunch of women be in and out your house. Don't believe in nobody there with your man. And if they start popping up too much, well, you better what that is. Why? What's up? Yeah. So yeah, you have to be cautious with that. But not even with my friend, my best friend, 30 some years or whatever, did I allow her to leave me in the company of her husband around there. She be asking me to come over there and sit down. Where we gonna sit there? We gonna sit outside on the porch. Where your husband gonna be? And if I see him pull up in that, she's like, girl, where you going? I said, we can talk later. She's like, girl, my husband okay. He okay with you. Then we started trying and I be like, whatever the whole time I be uncomfortable. And it's not that he made me uncomfortable or nothing like that. But I didn't want myself to be put in predicament or situation where it's, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. So people will label you and they'll say things about you. That's why you have to be mindful that you asking other people about people and they don't know about people, or even if they do, if they jealous or why they saying what they saying. You out here calling me a homebreaker when I don't even believe in stuff like that. I don't believe in divorce. I don't believe in dating married men. That happened to me when I was 15. That was something that he hid. And this was something that my grandma, because she worked for lawyers and judges and all that kind of stuff, she had a background check on him. She knew him being in the army, he was married and all that kind of thing. But the thing was they were separated. So that's how he was able to pull it off being around me for a whole year and something. He was able to pull it off because the wife was nowhere. She was over there doing the same thing he was doing. So was it my fault? Or was it their fault? They was two adults, way older than me. They been married since school because his parents was preachers. And when she got pregnant in school, they married them because they had a church and they wasn't gonna tolerate him. doing that or whatever. So understanding with their marriage, what happened with them and their marriage, the reason why it was like that is because they forced them into getting married because they felt like they was the right fit for each other. They was in high school, y'all. So then when they was it was a legally binding for them to be able to get married. That's what he married the her legally. Now you see what I mean? So she went cheating, he went cheating. It was a whole mess. It was a whole mess, y'all. It's just something. So this is another thing that caught my attention that many people don't look at. Same way I feel. I told y'all that. Even with my grandkids and stuff like that. My daughters, I can call the same thing. Call them up, they'll verify the same thing to you. If my daughter, oh yeah, I was on the live, didn't I tell y'all that? And whatever happened at the school with my grandbaby, and the lady at school brought my grandbaby home, and I told y'all I was way in another country. I didn't know how to get to the corner store. But when my daughter called, no, I text her, and I want to know why my grandbaby wasn't home because she played what you call it, basketball, sports, and all that kind of stuff. So I was thinking that's why, but it had got to be like after 9 or something like that. And I just kept seeing me walking and seeing dark places or whatever while I was sitting there. The Lord kept showing it. And I said, something ain't right. My everything was uneasy. So I texted my daughter. So I told my daughter, and my daughter called. I said, I don't know what you gonna do and how you gonna do it. You know this place, you got GPS and whatever else. But you need to, because she was with her friend, a friend guy or something. I said, I don't know what you doing and what y'all doing, but my grandbaby need to be found. Ask her. This just how I came at her. I went to putting on my clothes. The neighbor was friends with her. That they was the other grandchildren was safe and all that. I took them over there. I put on my clothes and I got to walking. My daughter called me and she really gave my granddaughter the business because she said, "You had my mama." No way. And this dog worried about you, and she out here trying to walk somewhere she don't even know. So you can't tell HRS people and nobody else that you ain't love. You see what I mean? All because she didn't like, because her mama told her, bring her behind. She did something she had no business or something like that. And her mom told her, bring her behind home from school. She wasn't going to be in the game. She wasn't going to whatever. She even told the teachers that. They still let that girl stay. So I guess the confrontational part that came in, and you know how we do as mama said, whatever she said, well, you're gonna have to find you a way or something like that, or whatever. And no, that was the other time, but this particular time she didn't. She just didn't show up. But by me waiting on the girls to come home from school, because I'm right there, and I know my way right. I knew my way around the thing where I'm always knowledgeable of that, or how to get to the bus stop and familiar with certain surround when I come into a place, if they stay out of the country or something like that, I always pay attention to that. So at least I can start from the basics, and know how to whatever. Because I was at one point, I was really getting a little bit anxious about the situations with being out of Florida because it was taking a minute. There was some big places that we were in, and when it came to the girls and stuff like that, um, it really concerned me. And I didn't drive my car. So they had cars there, yes, and that I could drive whatever. But they was because my daughter, she wanted them hustle buses, baby. She would work 2 and 3 jobs, okay? So that's why I did that to give her a chance to be able to go to school and, not worry about, things happening to my grandkids. I had a whole lot going on about me about I didn't have a place to stay and I was homeless. The whole nine. So when it came to the second oldest, now y'all see what bothered me because getting along with my son-in-law, he repeated that. And why my daughter would say that to her husband. And I was like, and just think about it. I'm a public figure. I do take care of myself and everything else. So why would she? And I don't know. She do it because she thought that that would be a way for him to say, well, with what happened with me and the oldest girl, well, let's go get your mom, or whatever the case may be, because we want her to rest. Because oh, she just forgot to talk to us. She said I was asleep. Dang, everybody was asleep, but that really did. And she act like she couldn't understand where I was coming from. Then you got me out there and you embarrassed me. Then I'm on the phone talking to my mama. And she done, I mean, she left y'all left me in the truck. She done walked and left down the street and whatever. And all I could think about, because you know what them did in the military, and I'm having a whole fit over here because I don't want anything to happen to them or them to get in trouble. You know what I mean? She didn't think about none of that. And I'm over there. And then that's when my son-in-law, he was like, oh, now I see what's going on. And that touched him to his heart. And he talked to me. He said, Mom, he said, do understand it. He said, I would never do anything to hurt you or to put you out or to do anything like that. I said, son, I didn't think of nothing like that. When you hear me preaching, I be solely, I don't know what's going on, whatever. And she's going to limit it, say whatever it is or whatever, because, or whatever. And we wasn't talking like that. So I was assuming everything is just peaches and cream, as far as their marriage was concerned and anything else, because I don't, of course, be into their stuff like that. I'm not that type of mama. Long as they okay, long as they, oh, hold on. Mm, hola.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, baby.
You okay?
Yes, ma'am, I'm okay. I was just, but Rachel had called back. I was just calling you. I actually talked you up, like I just told these people, and we was just talking about kids and adolescents and how things happen, or whatever. And I was just saying, the type of mom I was with y'all, and I was when you was 14 and stuff like that. I didn't just lay in the bed and just hope or knew you was, trying to run away or get, with a boy or something like that, and just I would come behind you, and I wouldn't. And make sure you return home safely and stuff. So we was just talking, and I was just telling them from a standpoint, it's not about not having, kids and making those assumptions and stuff, but things do happen. And even just now with the grandbaby and how I was ready, and I didn't know what city we was in, but I was ready. What? Now I was ready to go walk and go find my grandbaby. So um, that's what I was just talking to them about. But you could have went back to sleep. I thought probably you was at work. Oh,
Off today.
you off. Um, well, I'll talk to y'all later so you can get some rest in the girls. All right, love you.
I love you too.
Good night.
Yeah.
So with then that saying and being a mother or whatever, so that is what it it it's not that I'm hurt or hurt about it. I was just disappointed because I confided in her and I seen her to be better than that. Where I've had all these bump ins with the other family members and stuff like that. So my ex, far as not I don't want to say expectations, but what I thought our relationship was, that it turned out to be that, and that really I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed, and the way she acted after that, it was just, and I was just like, well. But nevertheless, because she have a big old heart and stuff like that. But I understand from what she, been taught and stuff like that outside of the home. And I guess whatever make her sane, as far as I'm concerned, I love her and everything. And that will never change. And she needs to do what she needs to do to keep her functioning and to keep her so she happy and she's okay. That's all that matters with me. So just like I said, with the things that we face and the things that we go through, you have a choice in the way you're going to internalize it. Not that it doesn't happen to you, but how are you going to press forward from there? You know what I mean? If I keep replaying that and rerouting that in my mind, that'll make me bitter. You see what I mean? That'll make me go into all of that, disowning my children and doing these things like that. When I understand we're human beings and we're family, or whatever the case may be. But beyond that, now if it gets to a point where I know it's endangering my well-being, of course, my health and mental capacity or whatever, and maybe that's what she feel about her mental capacity. Because she had said that before I left. She was disowning the whole family. And truly, to be honest, none of us. Now, if she had said that about her daddy's family, huh, the mama denied her when I was pregnant with her and everything. She wasn't old enough to be a grandmama and all that. She didn't come into my baby's life until she was 9 years old. My mama been there since the beginning. You see what I mean? But to hear her husband say that, I was clueless. I was just, and I just couldn't take that in. My daughter felt that way about me. I mean, I can understand if I was these kind of mamas that we was talking about here, then I understand. But you talk about a child I never raised my voice at. And she sat in the middle of a subdivision where we lived at. And literally, first she took me to a public place. Stormed out the building. Remember how I told y'all about the man I was dating? She did the same thing. Literally embarrassed me. And the way she was going and whatever, and it was Spanish people behind. Y'all already know what it is. It was Spanish people sitting right behind us, and the faculty started walking around, whatever. Even after she stormed out, whatever, I sat there because I was waiting on the people to bring me the plate anyway. But my appetite was gone. But I was sitting up there, and I was just like, "What in the world, God? I know you showed it to me and all that, but." And I mean, she was nasty. I'm telling y'all, it was not like she was talking to her mom. Whatever she fashioned in her head, or whatever people had going up against her mind, or whatever. And I was just trying to hold it because I'm not that type of mama. She was finna get the braces slapped off her teeth, but I had to hold it because I know I said we're gonna be on TV now. We're gonna be on TV. Don't do it. You, God got you. He didn't tell you the minister behind bars, honey. Come on now. But she took that as, oh, so with the husband trying to be the mediator or whatever. And oh, she jumps in front of him like, oh, she'll. I say, baby, that'll be the day the military come to try to arrest me because I will stomp you like I never knew you, like a woman in the streets. And I walked back in the room and slammed the door. And her husband rose up and he said, oh, he didn't see that side of me. The whole time I was taking it. Y'all would never believe I was taking it. And he tried to take up for her, and I sat there. I was in pure tears, and I held it. And he finally seen one tear, finally found out I was holding it. I told you if I ever cry, I'm about to take you up out of this world. And he said, so she went off to drill, and he had an opportunity to talk with me as his mother-in-law. And he began to see, and he said, oh, mama, I'm so sorry. And I opened up to him and I said, son, I just have to be honest with what I've been through. At this point, I'm thinking about going back home, getting me a house, another house, forgetting about being married. I know that's what God wants me to do. But at this point, I'm disowning my family. And I don't want anything to do with them. I don't care if I die, if I live. I'm just at that point. Before I be treated that way by anybody and go through this, I'd rather sleep in my car. I'd rather do whatever. But I knew that I was able to do that. And that's why I said I was showing up all every right here preaching. And none of y'all knew what I was going through at to that capacity. I didn't want to be in the damn place that I was. But because God put me in that place for them, that was the contributing factor. And that I sacrificed my comfortability, my sanity, because of everything that I was put through, And out of all y'all put me through, you still try to have an attitude with me and blame me when I didn't do nothing but love you. You hear me? And was the same child who watched somebody disrespect me into having to ask the people to pay my light bill. And from that day forward, she said, you, mom, have inspired me to go to the military, what I did to make something out of myself. Going to college, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make you proud of me. And that day in that car, she sat there, she hugged me. She said, as long as I'm breathing, I'm going to make sure I make it to be successful and rich, that you don't have to worry about nothing. When she went into the military, when I told y'all that car is a gift, she asked me, she said, Mom, name one thing that you really want. I had a big old truck sitting outside. As a matter of fact, it's still sitting out there. She said, name one thing that you want. And the whole time the Holy Spirit was saying, don't hold back. Be honest and say what it is, something that you would like. And I was sitting there, and she said, no, just tell me what is the one thing that you would like. And I said, I want a small car, a smaller car than the one that I have. Because I only wanted the truck because at that time the girls was graduating and stuff like that. The oldest girl hadn't started having kids. And that's why, because I wanted to be able to make sure we was all comfortable being transported and legally being able to drive because I'm not one of them illegal peoples. Child, my nerves is too bad. No. We drive it illegal for me to be the one operating the car, honey. Child, no, honey. But it take my mama to tell you about it. I seen police anywhere, baby. I'm telling y'all, So y'all know, y'all. If anybody try to set me up for drugs, for anything, y'all go already know. Y'all look into that. Somebody lying. My mama will tell you, honey, I ain't the one. Nah, Robo them. But me, my mama literally, I don't know why I was taking her, but she thought it was so funny. She said, for you to be a person that never do nothing wrong, she said, cause the police had got behind me. And I went to point the car over. My mama said, everything legal on your car, girl. She said, you scared? What you the police? But what I came up with, y'all know what it was. So when I learned, when I got old enough to understand that my daddy was a crooked police preacher, I was scared of police because I feel that. I felt that they were probably crooked if they believed in God too. So I don't care what it is, and they used to get mad at me. Then you could drive that car to the store without the sticker thing on the tag. You got insurance on. Then when I came back, she said, "Mommy, everything is on the car. The insurance, everything been paid for, but I didn't have because we had came from the New Mexico thing, whatever. My car been sitting out there for I don't know. Mommy, how long I was gone? I don't know, y'all. I don't know if I was gone for 3 years. I don't know, something like that. And my car just been sitting out there. And she was like, so I didn't know that they did that because usually they would just, well, I don't want to tell y'all all that. They go to train. And I was just saying like whatever. So that's just like me all day long. If something ain't right with that car, if like something cutting off on it or something like that, that is not. That is not. So if you see a news story or something like that, God forbid, hopefully that never happens. But that's why I tell y'all, some people they do. They set up and they be lying. I've never been addicted to drugs. I've never been one to drink. smoking chokes me or whatever. So if any of that is in my shit, I don't even take Tylenol, people. That's the God heaven truth. You ask my mom. I don't even take over the counter Tylenols, none of that. I have to be, pain has to be beyond. When I had that miscarriage, that doctor sat right there and she talked to me, y'all. And she said the same thing. And she said, I understand. She said, it still hasn't dawned on you that you just had a baby. You really. And I didn't even hit me emotionally. I told y'all be seeing me cry. That be the Holy Spirit. Because I'm not emotional like that. And my grandmama, my mama's mama, even when she got whoopings when she was younger, they talked about it all the time. She goes sit up under the house being mad with her mama. She was just that mean. She would not cry. They said I don't think that I ever seen her cry. The whole time as a little girl coming up, my uncle them and stuff like that. My grandma Barbara, I don't ever remember seeing her cry. And I sat there, and it wasn't till when they did. I think it was like the third ultrasound. They literally had to go in, not just examine me.